Chapter 1346. Great Qin Celestial Realm. The Great Qin Celestial Realm was also known as the Thunder Qin Celestial Realm or the Great Qin Empire because it was a unified empire and was famous for its lightning-type divine arts. Royal City. Whoosh, a red-robed elder, appeared above the royal city. It was old monster Zhu Tian who came from the lightning realm. Master, we have arrived at the royal city of the Great Qin Empire. Old monster Zhu Tian said respectfully. A speck of dust flew up from old monster Zhu Tian's red robe and turned into a five-colored lotus. Then, Su Fong flew out from the light and took the true dragon world into his body. Master, should we conquer the Great Qin Celestial Realm directly? Old monster Zhu Tian's eyes flashed. Su Fong said indifferently, the situation of the 8 great worlds is not clear yet. Conquering a great world would cause too much commotion. Let's not think about it for now. Let's go to the royal city first and ask for some information. At the same time, we can ask the Great Qin Celestial Emperor for hunting me down. Although he is dead, the Great Qin Celestial Realm still has to pay for it. Old monster Zhu Tian thought, the Great Qin Celestial Realm is going to be unlucky. Great Qin Celestial Emperor, why did you provoke such a monster? This time, even if the Great Qin Celestial Realm is not destroyed, it will lose a layer of skin. After putting old monster Zhu Tian into the true dragon world, Su Fong took out the mask. A flame came out his palms and refined the mask into a new golden mask. He put it on his face and went straight to the royal city. The flames of war were burning in the celestial realm. Since the Great Qin Celestial Realm was at the edge of the celestial realm, there was no war for now. However, the atmosphere was tense. Not only was the boundary of the Great Qin Celestial Realm activated, but the royal city also activated the boundary. One could only enter the royal city through the city gate and pay a huge amount of immortal essence pills. Su Fong very straightforwardly handed over the entrance fee. But who would have thought that the Great Qin Empire cultivators guarding the city would extort twice the amount of immortal essence pills? The reason was very simple. Who asked him to look like a rich man and wear a golden mask, causing the Great Qin Empire cultivators to be extremely displeased with him. He headed straight for the Hongxing Hall Chamber of Commerce. First, he bought information about the various forces in the Chamber of Commerce. Then, he asked Qiu Ranjung of the Treasure Refining Dojo to bring the elixirs and magic treasures refined by the Treasure Refining Dojo and Treasure Refining Dojo of the True Dragon Realm to trade with the Chamber of Commerce of the Hongxing Hall. Huiyin Shinrikyo has been divided by various forces. This was not out of Su Fong's expectations. They had lit a fire in Huiyin Shinrikyo, and it was only a matter of time before Huiyin Shinrikyo was destroyed. To Su Fong's surprise, the 2 behemoths, Emperor Ning's mansion and the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm, both suffered great losses after the initial fierce collision. Then they stopped fighting, gave up the fight for the Xianao macro world, and expanded to the surrounding macro worlds. Emperor Ning's mansion showed its strong foundation and was invincible. After completely annexing the constellation of 9 heavens, its sphere of influence expanded to the Yuanlu macro world. According to the Chamber of Commerce, after Emperor Ning got the ethereal insight from the Star Palace, he absorbed the origin of the Yuanlu macro world with the help of the tyrannical emperor's heaven-soaring technique. Now, he had completely controlled the Yuanlu macro world. He broke through the bottleneck that had shackled him for many years, and his strength increased greatly. According to the Chamber of Commerce, the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm had received strong support from other immortal realms, and its power expanded more rapidly than Emperor Ning's mansion. It first annexed the surrounding sky-bearing world, and then the Great Qin Immortal Realm joined the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm. Now, the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm was even more powerful than Emperor Ning's mansion. This is a bit troublesome, Su Fong raised his eyebrows. It would not be easy to take back the third part of the purple Qi Dharma spirit. Huang Lingyao is really not simple. There are also stories about Huang Lingyao in the news. During the war in the sky-bearing world, Huang Lingyao seriously injured an ordinary immortal emperor of the sky-bearing great world with Yunxiao's thundersword. Now, he was like a rising sun in the sky, and his fame spread throughout the immortal realm. His fame was unmatched, and he became the #1 person among the younger generation. Huang Lingyao also needs to be dealt with as soon as possible. Otherwise, he will be a big problem in the future. He roughly understood the situation in the immortal realm. Xiu Ran, who was sent to trade with the Chamber of Commerce, returned with a furious look. The Great Star Hall Chamber of Commerce has gone too far. What happened? Now, the price of all kinds of elixirs and magic treasures has increased by more than 3 times, especially the Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Elixir, which is priceless. However, the Great Star Hall Chamber of Commerce is still trading with us at the same price. They are too arrogant. It seems that Wang Yuzhen has been having a hard time these years. I was too naive in the past. Without the support of a strong force, how could the Great Star Hall, which is a chamber of commerce in the Great Immortal Realm, trade with us fairly? Try to contact Wang Yuzhen and ask her to stop trading with the Great Star Hall Chamber of Commerce. Let's open our own Chamber of Commerce. Su Fong sneered. The True Dragon Realm's Elixir Refinement Hall and Artifact Refinement Hall would not be able to sell their magic treasures and elixirs. Let's go to the Royal Palace. Su Fongda swaggered across the sky and arrived above the Royal Palace. Looking down, his majestic voice resounded throughout the Royal Palace. Great Qin, Immortal Emperor, come out and see me. In an instant, swoosh, 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 swoosh. One by one, the experts of the Great Qin Immortal Realm rushed out from the Royal Palace. Who are you? How dare you act so presumptuously in the Royal Palace of the Great Qin Empire? A peak Immortal Emperor roared in anger. The Great Qin Immortal Emperor owes me money, but he doesn't dare to show up like a coward. I'm here to collect the debt, Su Fong said confidently. How dare you humiliate the Immortal Emperor? You are courting death. The cultivators of the Great Qin Immortal Realm unleashed their auras and took out their magic treasures, charging towards Su Fong in an overwhelming manner. Boom! Old monster Zhu Tian was released, and a monstrous aura burst out. In an instant, the entire royal palace turned into a domain of lightning and fire, and he was the supreme ruler of this domain. The aura of the Great Qin Immortal Realm's cultivators was instantly shattered, and they couldn't even stay in the air and fell to the ground like dumplings. The royal palace that was floating on the ground suddenly sank, and the palaces shook violently. The defensive formation was activated, and it emitted a dazzling light. Everyone in the royal palace felt the immense pressure, and they all trembled and trembled. Old monster, Zhu Tian, it's you. An angry roar came from the royal palace, and an old man in a lightning robe flew over. He was also an immortal emperor expert, and his aura was extremely vast. However, he was slightly weaker than the Great Qin Immortal Emperor. The Qin clan had controlled the Great Qin Immortal Realm for millions of years, and their foundation was naturally incomparably strong. It was not strange for them to have 2 immortal emperors. The old man was furious, and he shouted, Old monster Zhu Tian, my Great Qin Immortal Realm has never offended you. Why did you come to my royal palace and cause trouble? Indeed, the Great Qin Immortal Realm has never offended me, but I'm here today to accompany my master to collect a debt. Old monster Zhu Tian laughed strangely. Master? The old man looked at Su Fong, and his eyes were filled with shock. Where did this big shot come from? He actually took old monster Zhu Tian as a subordinate? This time, the Great Qin Immortal Emperor owed me a huge debt at the lightning world of Zhu Tian, but he went into hiding and disappeared. I can only come here to collect the debt. Su Fong said domineeringly. The old man suppressed his anger and said coldly, Do you have any proof? Su Fong was startled, and he touched his nose and said, Proof? I don't have any. You don't have any proof, and you're here to collect the debt with empty words. You've gone too far. Su Fong said coldly, When I entered the royal palace, I was blackmailed by your Qin clan. This is the truth. I'm here to ask for an explanation. Do you think that just because the supreme immortal emperor of the Great Qin Immortal Realm isn't here, We have the right to let you do whatever you want. Old monster Zhu Tian, this is the Great Qin Imperial Palace. No matter how strong you are, can you fight against the entire Great Qin Immortal Realm? The old man sneered, and he didn't hide his threat. Reason is never as strong as the fist. This saying is indeed true. Su Fong smiled faintly. Whoosh, the immortal demon monster was released from the True Dragon world by Su Fong, and it immediately released a strange and shocking aura that was a mixture of immortal and demon. It enveloped the surroundings, and it was even more terrifying than old monster Zhu Tian's divine aura. The old man from the Great Qin Immortal Realm felt the true qi in his body become chaotic, and he couldn't help but stagger. He used all his lightning divine aura to barely stabilize himself, and his face was full of shock. Another immortal emperor, and he's even stronger than old monster Zhu Tian. Who is this person? He has two immortal emperors under him. How did the Great Qin Immortal Realm offend such a peerless character? Su Fong said indifferently, "Now I have the right to reason with you, right?" The old man gritted his teeth and said, "If the Great Qin Immortal Realm has offended you, please forgive us. How can I appease your anger? Please tell me." Su Fong said faintly, "It's very simple. Just let me go to the palace's treasury. That's all. Go to the palace's treasury, and that's all." The old man's eyes were burning with anger, and then a trace of ruthlessness flashed across. "It seems like I'm still not qualified enough," Su Fong said majestically. Whoosh! Dugamujian was directly taken out from the True Dragon world by Su Fong. This peerless sword cultivator, whose strength was enough to look down on this immortal realm, was fusing the dual annihilation swords in a secret realm that was specially created for him in the True Dragon world. At this moment, he was directly taken out by Su Fong, and he even had to play the role of a hired thug. His face was full of unwillingness. If you don't want the Great Qin Empire to be destroyed, try your best to satisfy whatever conditions he puts forward, Dugamujian said stiffly, as if he had nowhere to vent his anger. Another powerful immortal emperor. Just this person alone can destroy the Great Qin Immortal Realm. Cold sweat poured out from the old man's back. He said in a trembling voice, "Young master, you should be from another immortal realm. For the sake of the heavenly Tao Immortal Realm, please be magnanimous," Su Fong said disdainfully. "Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm. What is it? It won't be long before I take Long Tianang's head. You actually use the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm as a life-saving straw?" The old man was shocked again. In the end, he had no choice but to say, "Please." Under the old man's lead, Su Fong came to the treasury of the Great Qin Empire in the depths of the palace. Looking at the storage rings, treasure chests, and various alchemy and blacksmithing materials in the treasury, Su Fong's eyes suddenly shone brightly. The treasury of the Great Qin Immortal Realm was not much different from the inheritance of the Yellow Spring Devil Emperor. Of course, there was not a single peerless Tao item like the Yellow Spring Reincarnation Sword. Whoosh! Activating the power of the True Dragon Realm's magic treasures, Su Fong swept away all the treasures and resources in the treasury. Not even a strand of hair was left. Bandits! Where did these bandits come from? The old man's face was twitching, his heart was bleeding, but he was rejoicing in his heart. Luckily, the treasures accumulated by the Great Qin Immortal World were all kept in the secret chamber. Other than the monarch, no one knows. Su Fong suddenly asked, "The treasures of the Great Qin Immortal Realm are all here?" The old man's heart jumped, but he replied respectfully without showing any expression, "They are all here. If you don't believe me, you can search the entire palace." Search? Of course. Of course, Su Fong would not be polite. However, it was not a search, but using the right arm of the Great Qin Immortal Emperor as the source, he activated the Heavenly Tao Life Shrinking Technique. =_ download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1347. Seeing that Su Fong was trying to sense the Great Qin Celestial Realm's hidden treasures, the old man's eyes flashed with a hint of mockery. Who knew that in the next second, Su Fong raised his eyebrows, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. With the Great Qin Celestial Emperor's blood essence as the source, how could the Great Qin Celestial Realm's hidden treasures escape Su Fong's detection? Not to mention, he also had the power of the world's seed, the ethereal enlightenment, and the earth element's power. Under the Great Qin Celestial Realm's King City, Su Fong sensed an aura similar to the Great Qin Celestial Emperor's. It was the location of the Great Qin Celestial Realm's hidden treasures. What surprised Su Fong was that the hidden treasures had merged with the Great Qin Celestial Realm's world origin. Even if an outsider found the location of the hidden treasures, they would not be able to take it away unless they merged with the world origin and controlled the Great Qin Celestial Realm. The Great Qin Celestial Emperor was originally a celestial emperor who was slightly weaker than the Tranquility Emperor and the Tian-Ong Celestial Emperor. In the Great Qin Celestial Realm, the Tranquility Emperor's heaven-conquering technique could not use its full strength with the help of the world's power. In the Great Qin Celestial Realm, the Tranquility Emperor was not necessarily a match for the Great Qin Celestial Emperor. Who would dare to steal the Great Qin Celestial Realm's world origin? The Qin clan's hidden treasures that have been accumulated for millions of years belong to me, Su Fong. The Great Qin Celestial Realm's world origin is also mine. Su Fong's eyes flashed with a bright light. He secretly said to the celestial demon monster, "Shackle this celestial emperor of the Great Qin Celestial Realm." The second primordial spirit said coldly, "Do you want me to possess him?" Su Fong thought for a while and replied, "Can I control his consciousness and make him my subordinate?" As your cultivation level increased, I continued to cultivate with the help of the 9 Yin Shi and other Yin Shi. The power of my primordial spirit was also constantly transforming. It has already surpassed the Celestial Emperor's power. I don't need to devour this old man's consciousness. I can barely use Knight's primordial spirit manipulation technique to control his consciousness. However, I need my heavenly demon bloodplate and old monster Zhu Tian's help. Su Fong immediately sent a voice transmission to old monster Zhu Tian. Old monster Zhu Tian, attack. Boom. Old monster Zhu Tian looked at the old man from the Great Qin Celestial World beside him and suddenly released a shackling force. Immortal emperors were indeed powerful. This old man had spent his entire life cultivating in the Great Qin Celestial World and had long since fused with the power of the world. The power he unleashed was even more shocking. With a boom, he shattered old monster Zhu Tian's shackles. Old monster Zhu Tian, the old man was both shocked and furious. He didn't expect old monster Zhu Tian to attack. Old monster Zhu Tian didn't reply. He sent out a spider monster that spat out thunderfire spider silk, forming a large net that covered the old man. At the same time, Su Fong also threw the heavenly devil blood plate above the old man's head. The dark devil light shrouded the old man, and the terrifying primordial spirit's divine aura violently attacked his divine aperture ocean. Chi. The second primordial spirit shot out from the body of the immortal devil monster and attacked the old man's divine aperture ocean. Attacked from both inside and outside, the old man struggled for 3 breaths. His body was shackled by Zhu Tian, and his primordial spirit in the sea of divine apertures was forcefully controlled by Night Demon's second primordial spirit. Master, the old man bowed respectfully to Su Fong like a slave. The Great Qin Celestial Emperor had already fallen, and this old man was the only powerful expert left in the Great Qin Celestial World. Controlling him was equivalent to controlling the entire Great Qin Celestial World. Of course, it wasn't so easy to control a celestial world. The Qin clan had controlled the Great Qin Celestial World for millions of years, and it would take a long time for them to make countless cultivators submit to them. Su Fong didn't plan to completely control the Great Qin Celestial World. He wanted to control this old man first. Perhaps he could be of great use in the future. Old monster Zhu Tian's second primordial spirit easily controlled the consciousness of an immortal emperor. He was shocked and terrified. If he hadn't chosen to submit, or if he had any other thoughts, once his consciousness was controlled, he would be no different from a puppet. Not only would he lose his freedom, but his future cultivation would also be affected. Then he rejoiced. I'm still the wise one. Su Fong couldn't wait to leave the palace's treasury and went to the heaven and earth divine altar that was used for worship in the Great Qin Empire. On the surface, the heaven and earth divine altar was used for worship. However, it was also a place where the experts of the Qin clan in the Great Qin celestial world could communicate with the power of the cultivation world. After fusing with the power of the Great Qin celestial world, the Qin clan could truly control the Great Qin celestial world. Su Fong activated the power of the world seed and slowly extended it towards the place where the Great Qin celestial world's origin was gathered. Boom! Soon, Su Fong's world seed's power came into contact with the underground origin's world seal. The Great Qin celestial world's world origin contained the faith and will of the experts of the Qin clan. Moreover, the world origin's world seal was extremely repulsive to Su Fong's world seed's power. Which expert dares to covet the Great Qin celestial world's world origin? Leave. A majestic and domineering voice suddenly sounded in Su Fong's mind. Su Fong's world seed hadn't been completely born yet. The Great Qin celestial world's world origin was extremely majestic. It instantly shattered his world origin's power. It's actually so repulsive to my world origin. The world origin of a celestial world is indeed not so easy to obtain. However, the experts of the Qin clan only fused with a portion of the world origin and borrowed the power of the world origin to cultivate. However, my ethereal true scripture can completely communicate with the world origin and control it. Su Fong smiled coldly and used the ethereal true scripture of the myriad laws to slowly communicate with the Great Qin celestial world's world origin. 3 days later, rumble. Rumble. Not only the royal city, but the entire Great Qin celestial world's territory was shaking. The Great Qin celestial world's world origin was awakened from its dormant state by Su Fong's ethereal true scripture of the myriad laws. It was currently attacking the world seal. Countless cultivators sensed the changes in the world origin around them. All of them were shocked and pale. They quickly flew into the sky to check the situation. The commotion lasted for half a month. The cultivators of the Great Qin celestial world didn't know what was going on. They were in a constant state of panic, as if doomsday had arrived. The experts of the Qin clan sensed an ethereal power that was controlling the world origin. They all rushed to the heaven and earth divine altar to check it out. However, they were blocked by the immortal emperor who said that he was cultivating. Although the experts of the Qin clan were confused, they didn't dare to go against the supreme expert of the Qin clan. Streaks of starlight broke through the world seal and shot out from the ground of the royal city. As if they were being summoned, they gathered towards the heaven and earth divine altar. The starlight quickly condensed into resplendent stars before converging into a deep galaxy. It was a magnificent scene of the Great Qin celestial world's world origins essence gathering. The ethereal true scripture of the myriad laws is indeed wondrous. Looking at the magnificent scene, Su Fong was once again shocked by the ethereal true scripture. He was even more impressed by the ethereal spiritual master who created the ethereal true scripture of the ethereal true scripture. Just as he was about to activate the world seed to devour the Great Qin celestial world's world origin, a majestic figure quickly appeared from the resplendent galaxy formed by the world origin. Has the Great Qin Empire been destroyed? You actually allowed an outsider to shake the world origin? The majestic figure spoke in a domineering voice. This figure wasn't a real existence. It was a consciousness left behind by the ancestor of the Qin clan. It had fused with the world origin and absorbed the faith of the experts of the Qin clan and the Great Qin celestial world who had cultivated the world origin for generations. It was a manifestation of the will of the Qin clan. There's actually the fate aura of the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor. The Great Qin celestial world was indeed created by the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor. Su Fong wasn't too surprised when he sensed the heavenly slaughter lightning emperor's Tao runes of fate from the figure. Lightning flashed in the eyes of the figure as it scanned Su Fong. Who are you? You actually have the supreme ability to awaken the great Qin celestial world's world origin, and even let the world origin break through the seal? No matter who you are, you dared to ignore my warning and forcefully awaken the great Qin celestial world's world origin. That's a capital offense. Once I capture you alive, your supreme ability will naturally belong to my descendants. Su Fong sneered disdainfully. I've already turned into a resurrected corpse. How can you still be so arrogant? I've already sensed that I've already fallen. Only a remnant of my will is left. But so what? My mission is to protect the great Qin celestial world. I won't allow anyone to spy on it. Although I'm only a consciousness, all the cultivators who cultivate the power of the world in the great Qin celestial world all offer their faith to me. Even an immortal sovereign can't easily seize the great Qin celestial world's world origin. How dare an ant-like world immortal like you try to take it? The figure let out a thunderous roar. His aura was monstrous, and his divine aura enveloped the entire great Qin celestial world. He instantly transformed into the absolute ruler of the great Qin celestial world. Why don't you surrender? An astonishing divine aura shackled Su Fong. For a moment, Su Fong had the illusion that he was fighting against the entire great Qin celestial world. At the same time, from the galaxy formed by the origin of the world, an aura gushed out like a tide. Through the primordial spirit, one could see that it was an innumerable number of wills and figures, densely gathered together like an ocean, which made one's scalp tingle. The figures of will were like a tsunami, instantly drowning Su Fong. They formed a majestic pressure that wanted to suppress Su Fong. I've awakened the great Qin celestial world's world origin. Don't think that it won't shackle me and will obey my will. Mere willpower and faith can't suppress me. As for your consciousness, you should have disappeared from this world long ago. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me, Su Fong? Su Fong shouted coldly. The power of the world's seed burst out. Combined with the ethereal divine aura of the Tao of all arts, it instantly shattered the shackles of the world origin. Then, he used his divine aura to control the world origin and forcibly seize control of it from the sky slaughter, lightning emperor's consciousness. Fortune of fate controlling the heavens. If I want to live, the heavens can't take it away. Fortune of fate controlling the heavens. If I want to live, the heavens can't live without me. Fortune of fate controlling the heavens. If I'm destroyed, everything will be destroyed. As Su Fong used his nascent divinity to chant the mysteries of the Tao of fate, an ethereal aura of fate swept out. Qi, qi, qi. When the figures of will touched this aura of fate, they instantly burned and turned into ashes. Life-shrinking art of fate, controlling fate and crushing all faith and willpower. At the same time, Jiang Yi's second nascent divinity shot out from his eyes and turned into a black Xinguang. It swept up a wave of nascent divinity and engulfed the sky slaughter, lightning emperor's consciousness in the river of stars formed by the great Qin celestial world's world origin. The sky slaughter, lightning emperor cried out in despair. You dare to kill me? I'm from the myriad Waves, Immortal Sea. Download address. Mobile reading. Bibliographic review. Chapter 1348. 10,000 Waves, Immortal Sea. Su Fong immediately stopped the second primordial spirit bee. The 10,000 Waves Immortal Sea was a large world in an immortal domain that was relatively close to this immortal domain. Of course, it was only relatively close. It would take immortal emperors thousands of years to travel between the two immortal domains, and they would have to pass through many dangerous places along the way. Su Fong had an impression of the 10,000 Waves Immortal Sea because of Lang Liyun, who used to pester Fairy Xuanxin. Immortal Emperor Tian Sha continued, I'm a clone of the Lord of Thunder Night Island in the 10,000 Waves Immortal Sea. I came to this immortal domain millions of years ago to build the Great Qin immortal world. A clone of the Lord of Thunder Night Island? Su Fong sent a thought to Duga Mujian in the True Dragon Realm. Have you heard of the Thunder Night Island in the 10,000 Waves Immortal Sea? He was just asking casually, but he didn't expect Dugam Mujian to know. The Lord of Thunder Night Island? I've heard of this person. He's an immortal venerable expert. When he was in the immortal Emperor realm, he went to the central immortal domain and made a name for himself. It's said that this person is very powerful, and he's a famous expert in the countless immortal domains in the immortal domain. You'd better not offend him. You can't afford to offend such an expert. Su Fong furrowed his brows. The heavenly slaughter Thunder Emperor's consciousness couldn't help but feel proud. If you dare to kill me, I'll leave my true will divine ability in your body. No matter where you run to, I'll kill you. Let me go and send the Great Qin Immortal World's world origin back to the World Seal, and I'll let you go this time. Su Fong sneered with disdain, and viciousness seeped out of his eyes. A remnant consciousness dares to be so arrogant? So what if you're an immortal venerable expert? The body that my second primordial spirit resides in is the fusion of an immortal venerable and a demon venerable. I've erased both their consciousnesses. Why wouldn't I dare to erase the consciousness of your immortal venerable clone? Second primordial spirit, kill him. Kill. The second primordial spirit let out a cold shout that was filled with murderous intent. He activated the primordial spirit's stormy waves and instantly crushed and devoured the will of the heavenly slaughter Thunder Emperor's figure. As the heavenly slaughter Lightning Emperor's will was destroyed, the wills and figures of the Great Qin immortal realm that were being incinerated by the heavenly fate shrinking art flew back into the galaxy, formed by the world's origin and disappeared without a trace. At this moment, a bolt of lightning suddenly flashed and condensed into an illusory figure above. It looked down at Su Fong like a high and mighty god and said in a cold voice, I thought that this clone of mine had fallen long ago, and even I had forgotten about it. I didn't expect that there would be a trace of soul consciousness remaining until now, but it was killed by you. No matter who you are, you better not let me sense your existence. The voice gradually faded away. Of the two lightning bolts, one flashed and fused with the second primordial spirit, while the other drilled into Su Fong's body and disappeared. It's Mo Lei's true will again. Su Fong raised his eyebrows. For the time being, he ignored Morley's true will. He didn't even care about the master of Thunder Night Island. Whoosh, coming to the galaxy formed by the world's origin, he reached out and grabbed a storage ring floating in the starlight. His consciousness entered it. It was like a world of lightning and light, with all kinds of resources and treasures floating in the space. Elixirs, secret manuals, magic treasures, various resources, spiritual objects, and spirit veins. Just in terms of quantity, it was twice as much as the Yellow Springs Devil Emperor's Tao field. However, there was not a single peerless Tao artifact like the Yellow Springs Reincarnation Sword. Although the Great Qin Immortal Realm was also an immortal realm, it was still far from the immortal realm established by the Yellow Springs Devil Emperor. It was impossible to have a peerless Tao artifact like the Yellow Springs Reincarnation Sword, let alone a supreme Tao artifact like the Xianming Thunder Archive that was close to a divine artifact. With so many resources, I can definitely support a powerful force. At least I won't have to worry about resources for the next 1,000 years. Su Fong was very excited. Fortunately, he came to the Great Qin Immortal Realm on his way back to the immortal Ao Great World. Otherwise, with so many resources and treasures, who knew which one would benefit? Whoosh, he controlled his breathing and suppressed the excitement in his heart. He activated the World Seed to absorb the pure power of the world origin. In an instant, the World Seed was like a thirsty person who had encountered a sweet spring, wantonly devouring the Great Qin Immortal Realm's world origin. Su Fong's eyes flickered with the luster of the stars. His eyes flickered with radiance, and he was brimming with vigor. The entire heaven and earth Tao Palace was filled with the divine might of the world origin. The World Seed, which was very difficult to cultivate, went through a transformation after devouring the Great Qin Immortal Realm's world origin. The cocoon of light that contained the World Seed became more and more real little by little, and it spun continuously like a lotus. Once the world seed fell out of the lotus, it meant that Su Fang's cultivation in his own world had reached a new height. When the world seed sprouted and grew, it meant that Su Fang's cultivation in his own world had succeeded, and he had reached the peak of cultivation and grasped true immortality. This was the path of cultivation that Su Fang wanted to walk. After absorbing a small portion of the Great Qin Immortal Realm's world origin, Su Fang stopped. Instead, he used his own world origin to fuse with the world origin. If he absorbed all of the world origin, the vitality of the entire Great Qin Immortal Realm would be cut off. It would gradually turn into a wasteland. At that time, who knew how many cultivators would die? Although Su Fang was ruthless, he would only target his enemies. He would definitely not do something that would cause him to suffer the wrath of the heavens. Moreover, if he absorbed too much of the world origin, it would cause the world seed to reject the power of other worlds, which would greatly affect his future cultivation. After fusing with the remaining world origin, Su Fang used the power of the Yin-Yang world to form a Dharma seal. The dazzling river of stars immediately turned into starlight and drilled into the ground, and it was sealed again, outside the heaven and earth divine altar. The experts of the Qin clan sensed that the natural power of the heaven and earth that they could easily communicate with and control had suddenly become difficult. They were only slightly stronger than other cultivators, and it was as if they were in a great world outside the Great Qin Immortal Realm. The Great Qin Immortal Realm no longer belongs to the Qin clan. Some of the experts of the Qin clan vaguely understood and fell into despair. Let's see what kind of changes have been brought to me after fusing with the world origin of the Great Qin Immortal Realm. There are obvious changes to the world seed, but it would still take a long time for it to be born and leave the lotus. Cultivating one's own world origin was the cultivation of the Great Tao. How could it be achieved overnight? Among the 5 star-like halos around the world seed, an incomparably mysterious halo appeared. It was the halo formed after fusing with the Great Qin Immortal Realm. The 6 halos were like 6 galaxies, and the world seed was like the stars in the galaxies, floating in the heaven and earth Tao palace, emitting a vast and profound qi. The world seed's speed of operation had also increased. His ability to cultivate and communicate with the world origin had also improved significantly. He gradually released the sensing ability of the Great Perfection Realm and the world origin divine might, covering an area of 1,000 li in an instant. This was the range of the domain divine might that only a peak immortal emperor could possess. If he used the ethereal true scripture, this domain divine might would be even larger. Moreover, within this domain divine might, all kinds of natural power had become very close to him, allowing him to control them freely. No matter if it was casting divine abilities or activating magical treasures, the power would be multiplied. He could also easily activate the world origin divine might shackles. In any place in the Great Qin Immortal Realm, Su Fang could borrow the world origin divine might to kill an ordinary immortal emperor with ease. Although I can't be considered a true world lord now, I can still control the world origin divine might of the Great Qin Immortal Realm. When my cultivation realm reaches the Immortal Emperor Realm, I will definitely become the true ruler of the Great Qin Immortal Realm. The feeling of controlling a territory made Su Fang feel like he was the overlord of Small World. He couldn't help but feel a supreme, domineering, and lofty sentiments. I can keep the Great Qin Immortal Realm as a spy. I can't expose it for the time being. My target is the immortal AO Great World. My main enemies are Immortal Emperor Tian Ong and Tranquility Emperor, as well as the Devil Race. It's time to return to the immortal AO Great World. I can't let the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm and Tranquility Emperor Mansion continue to grow. Otherwise, it will become difficult to deal with them. After summoning the Immortal Emperors of the Great Qin Immortal Realm, giving him a portion of the resources and making some arrangements, Su Fang flew out of King City. When he came into contact with the barrier above the Great Qin Immortal Realm, it automatically opened a passage for Su Fong. Su Fong used the world origin divine might to travel through the void. It only took him 4 to 6 hours to travel the distance that would have taken him several years to travel. He arrived at the edge of the Great Qin immortal realm. This was the benefit of being able to control the world origin divine might after fusing with the Great Qin immortal realm's world origin. Not long after Su Fong left the Great Qin immortal realm, news quickly spread to the other immortal realms. A mysterious young master from the central immortal realm came to this immortal realm with several immortal emperors to gain experience. The experts of the Qin clan provoked this mysterious young master. As a result, this mysterious young master forced his way into the Great Qin imperial palace. The Qin clan had to pay a huge sum of compensation to avert the disaster. This young master's identity was very mysterious. He controlled an extremely powerful force. No one knew his name. Because he wore a golden mask, he was known as the golden-faced young master. The speed of the news spread far exceeded the speed of Su Fong's travel from one immortal realm to another. Before Su Fong returned to the immortal Ao Great World, the news spread quickly through various channels in this immortal realm. Some major forces issued strict decrees that anyone who met the golden-faced young master must treat him as an elder. If they offended him, the entire force would be implicated and they would be severely punished. Even some overlord forces, including the Tranquility Emperor's Mansion and the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm, sent out envoys or spread news through the Chamber of Commerce, inviting the golden-faced young master to visit them as a guest. For a time, the so-called golden-faced young master became an influential figure in this immortal realm, overshadowing Huang Lingyao. Some busybodies even suggested that the Heavenly Tao White Sun sect should propose marriage between Huang Lingyao and the golden-faced young master. When the Heavenly Tao Immortal Realm heard this, not only did they not object, but they also showed an attitude that as long as the golden-faced young master was willing, marriage was not impossible. Even Huang Lingyao herself did not raise any objections. However, there was a rumor that young Master Long went to the Heavenly Tao White Sun sect to make a scene, but was called back by immortal Emperor Tianong and severely reprimanded. Golden-faced young master, marriage? With Huang Lingyao? Su Fong, who set foot on the territory of the immortal Ao Great World, learned this news from the information collected by his subordinates. He was shocked and stunned and could not speak for a long time. The 2 chapters in the evening may be a little late. Readers who can't wait can read them together tomorrow. =_ our download address. Mobile reading. Bibliographic review. Chapter 1349. In Su Fong's Blood Jade, Law laughed and said, "Marriage with Huang Lingyao? That's a good idea. Su Fong, why don't you consider it?" Su Fong didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He replied, "Law, you're being naughty again. Marriage with Huang Lingyao? Only you can think of that." Law continued to tease. "Huang Lingyao is an old acquaintance of yours. Not only does she have a Tao body, but she also fused with one of the 10 great Tao artifacts, the Sky Lightning Sword. She's also a great beauty. Dual cultivating with her. TSK. That's a wonderful thing. Although Huang Lingyao is a proud daughter of heaven, she has a heart as vicious as a snake and scorpion. She could even devour her own sister. If I dual cultivate with her, I have to be careful at all times. I'll be devoured by her skin and bones." Su Fong couldn't help but shudder when he thought of Huang Lingyao's methods. Su Fong treated the so-called marriage as a joke and quickly threw it to the back of his mind. Counting with his fingers, it took nearly 100 years to travel from the Great Qin immortal world to the immortal Ao Great World. The main reason was that when they entered the Sky Lightning Realm, they were chased by the Great Qin Immortal Emperor. When they passed through the lightning and firestorms, the Green Feather Emperor was seriously injured and had not fully recovered. Without his speed and control of space, his speed was naturally much slower. Su Fong was not in a hurry. Along the way, he slowly digested the various resources he obtained from the Sky Lightning Realm and the Great Qin Immortal World. He continued to go deeper into the immortal Ao great world. Along the way, he occasionally encountered material continents with bustling, immortal cities. For the first time, Su Fong had the leisure to experience the cultivation civilization of the great immortal world. A huge island floated in the void. The island was not big, but the natural spiritual energy was abundant, forming immortal fog around the island. It was both real and illusory. Through the immortal fog, one could see the mountains, forests, and palaces on the island. It was rare to see such an immortal land in the void filled with star fog and star sand. Carefree Immortal Island? After finding the name of this immortal island from the map, Su Fong's memory immediately flashed with the name of an acquaintance, an _1. 7 stars. After ascending to the immortal world, Su Fong had inquired about 7 Star Child's whereabouts many times through the Chamber of Commerce. He knew that 7 Star Child was staying at Carefree Immortal Island. Later, when he found Huang Lingyao and learned that the purple Qi Dharma spirit had fallen into the hands of immortal Emperor Tianong, he stopped paying attention to the 7 Star Child. This person was very powerful in the lower realm and hunted down Su Fong many times. However, at this moment, in Su Fong's eyes, 7 Star Child was like an ant that could be easily erased. Unknowingly, they had already entered the sphere of influence of the heavenly law immortal realm. Carefree Immortal Island was one of the cultivation grounds of the heavenly Tao White Sun sect. 7 Star Child was a disciple of an elder and became a genius disciple of the heavenly Tao White Sun sect. I'll settle my grudge with the 7 Star Child while I'm at it. Besides, this person also cultivates the Black Lotus True Body. If I devour him, my Black Lotus True Body will definitely transform again. After thinking for a moment, Su Fong decisively flew towards the Carefree Immortal Island. He leaped through the air and arrived above the Carefree Immortal Island. He looked down indifferently and said in a majestic voice, "Someone come and help me." Swoosh! Swoosh! In less than 3 breaths' time, more than a dozen heavenly Tao White Sun sect cultivators flew over from below. Who are you? What are you doing at the Carefree Immortal Island? A golden mask you are. The heavenly Tao White Sun sect cultivator in the lead was very arrogant at first. However, when he saw the golden mask on Su Fong's face, he suddenly thought of something. His tone and expression suddenly became very respectful and reverent. "This young master's name is not something you can know," said Su Fong indifferently. "You can call me Goldface, young master. I came here for a tour and saw that the scenery here is good. I want to go in and walk around. How about it? Going to the Carefree Immortal Island for a tour?" If it was someone else who said this, no matter which force they came from, the heavenly Tao White Sun sect cultivator would directly slap them. However, when the golden mask young master said this, the heavenly Tao White Sun sect cultivator in the lead felt flattered and quickly sent a rune talisman to the island. A moment later, a loud and melodious bell rang on the island, and there was also a burst of pleasant, immortal music. The barrier in the sky opened, and tens of thousands of heavenly Tao White Sun sect disciples came to the sky above the Carefree Immortal Island under the lead of an immortal emperor expert. Carefree Immortal Island is honored to have the golden mask young master come. Welcome, please. The immortal emperor expert was an old man with a malicious expression. At this time, he was full of smiles and was not polite at all. The tens of thousands of heavenly Tao White Sun sect cultivators behind him cupped their fists and bowed together. "Welcome, golden mask young master." Their voices resounded through the sky, and their voices were mighty. It was a grand scene. Su Fong's eyes exuded a proud look. In fact, he was secretly using the Heaven Secret Life shrinking technique to sense the 7 Star Child's aura among the many cultivators. Sure enough, behind one of the White Sun sect elders stood a young man in his early 20s. He had a jade-like complexion, large black eyes, a high-nosed bridge, and long, supple hair like a woman's. He appeared to be extremely outstanding equals in _1. Especially on the back of his right hand, there were 7 black stars arranged in a circle which seemed to contain some kind of power. Seven-star child, I finally found you again. Su Fong sneered in his heart and flew proudly toward the carefree, immortal island. With Su Fong's current overall strength, it was easy for him to destroy the entire carefree, immortal island. However, considering that the identity of the Golden Mask young master was still very useful, he did not want to expose it for the time being. Besides, it was just a carefree, immortal island. It was meaningless to destroy it. He would first enter the carefree, immortal island, and then find a suitable opportunity to kill the seven-star child without leaving a trace. He arrived at the island. The sinister-looking old man was about to set up a banquet to entertain Su Fong, but Su Fong refused and said indifferently, "There's no need for that. Just arrange for a few cultivators to accompany me around the island. This person is very outstanding. Let's choose him." Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Everyone looked at the seven-star child with envy and jealousy. The seven-star child was also surprised and delighted. What a heaven-sent opportunity to get close to the Golden Mask young master. The Golden Mask young master had several immortal emperors under his command. If this peerless young master casually rewarded him with something, his future cultivation path would be much smoother. If he was valued by the Golden Mask young master, he would have a chance to reach the sky in one step. Accompanied by the seven-star child, Su Fong flew toward the depths of the carefree, immortal island. He scanned with his perfected ability and sensed that there was no one nearby. Su Fong was ready to let his second primordial spirit possess him directly. Suddenly, the seven-star child knelt in the void to Su Fong and said with great sincerity, "I'm the seven-star child. I'm willing to be your subordinate and serve you with all my strength. Please accept me." Su Fong was stunned. He did not expect that the seven-star child, who was like a supreme ruler in the lower realm, would be so humble in front of a true expert. It was no wonder that he could climb so quickly in the White Sun sect of the Heavenly Tao. Su Fong sighed in his heart. In the face of absolute strength and powerful forces, the so-called arrogance of immortals is not worth mentioning. After a moment of silence, he said in a majestic voice, "What qualifications do you have to be my subordinate?" The seven-star child hurriedly said, "Although I'm a lowly person in your eyes, I'm very familiar with the immortal AO great world. I can serve you at your beck and call. In addition, I can also connect you with Huang Lingyao, the proud daughter of heaven in this immortal domain." Su Fong said calmly, "You know Huang Lingyao? I brought Huang Lingyao from a small world to the immortal realm. Not only does she have a peerless appearance, but she also has a peerless Tao body. She has also been recognized by one of the 10 great Tao artifacts, the Yin Shao Thunder Sword. She can be said to be a peerless fairy in this immortal domain. Even the former #1 fairy of the Clear Sky Myriad Scroll Gate, Fairy Xuanxin, is not as good as her." Su Fong's eyes exuded a trace of coldness. Noticing that Su Fong's expression was not right, the seven-star child suddenly understood and hurriedly said, "With your identity and peerless sharpness, Huang Lingyao is certainly not worth mentioning in front of you. However, this girl is barely qualified to be your concubine. You won't be lonely in this immortal domain. Huang Lingyao, if you can bring Huang Lingyao to Carefree Immortal Island, I promise you that I'll give you an unimaginable future," Su Fong said indifferently, and then left in embarrassment, leaving the ecstatic seven-star child behind. When they heard that the golden-faced young master was going to stay in Carefree Immortal Island for a while to wait for Huang Lingyao, everyone in Carefree Immortal Island was immediately excited. After settling Su Fong down, the sinister old man specially vacated his own residence and cultivation palace for Su Fong to live in. He also carefully selected a group of stunning female cultivators to serve him. In the end, they were all driven away by Su Fong. The sinister old man personally took the seven-star child and went straight to the heavenly Tao Immortal World's King City. For such a big matter, even the White Sun sect higher-ups could not make the decision. They had to report it to Immortal Emperor Tian Ong in person. Of course, Carefree Immortal Island also had the intention of asking Immortal Emperor Tian Ong for credit. Think about it. If they could ask the golden-faced young master to take action, with the terrifying strength of several immortal emperors and the strength of the heavenly Tao immortal world, it would be easy for them to sweep across this immortal domain. How could they give such a great credit to the higher-ups of the White Sun sect? Do you really want to take Huang Lingyao as your concubine? Hee. Be careful of Fairy Xuanxin. Law once again laughed wantonly in the blood jade. Law, I'm not as despicable as you think. My idea is very simple. Since I want to get rid of the 7-star child, I might as well lure Huang Lingyao here and kill her as well. Law suddenly said, in fact, you don't have to rush to kill Huang Lingyao. Your target is not her, but the third part of the purple Qi Dharma spirit in immortal Emperor Tianang's body. This is the most important thing. This is not a bad opportunity. You can use the identity of the golden-faced young master to sneak into immortal Emperor Tianang's side. With your current overall strength, killing him is not difficult. After a moment of silence, Su Fang's eyes flashed with ruthlessness. Yes, my target is the purple Qi Dharma spirit. 7-star child can kill it easily, but killing Huang Lingyao will cause a big commotion. Why don't we follow your idea and kill immortal Emperor Tianong first, and take the purple Qi Dharma spirit? Su Fang made up his mind to live in carefree immortal island and wait for Huang Lingyao's arrival. Whoosh! It turned out that the immortal demon monster had swallowed a large amount of precious resources and spiritual items obtained from the Great Qin immortal world and fused with a frost soul blood fetus. Its physical body had finally recovered by 10% and caused a big commotion in the true dragon world. The immortal demon monster's physical body had fused with the physical bodies of immortal venerate Song Huan and demon venerate Ancient Ming. 10% of a peerless immortal venerate strength was no small matter. At this time, the immortal demon monster's strength was almost equal, but some special factors had to be excluded. The immortal demon monster has recovered 10% of its strength before the battle with immortal Emperor Tianong. This is great. Su Fang was pleasantly surprised. It would take at least 10 years to travel from carefree Immortal Island to the Heavenly Tao Immortal World's King City and back. Su Fang naturally would not waste the time. On the way to the Immortal Ao Great World, Su Fang had already devoured the Great Qin Immortal Emperor's right arm and the Star Palace's leader's physical essence and cultivation. Not only did the Yellow Spring Blood Sea transform again, but his cultivation realm also quickly rose to the peak of the 4th Tao realm. He could use this time to devour the Frost Soul Blood Fetus and break through to the 5th Tao realm. He let out old monster Zhu Tian and let him stay in the palace while Su Fang entered the true dragon world. Chapter 4, The Promise. Chapter 5, Stay up late and rush it out tomorrow morning =_ our download address, mobile reading, bibliography. Chapter 1350. Su Fang formed a seal with his hands, and his body collapsed instantly, turning into a bloody whirlpool bee. After devouring the body of the Star Palace leader and the right arm of the Great Qin Celestial Emperor, the Acheron Blood Sea transformed, and its surface area reached more than 7,000 feet. Moreover, the Acheron Blood Sea's devouring ability became even more shocking. Even if the dark green demonic emperor was at his peak and turned into 1,000 feet of bloody water, Su Fang was confident that he could devour him. In the state of bloody water, his ability to activate various superpowers and Tao artifacts was also greatly improved. Moreover, the Acheron reincarnation technique was also improved, and his ability to control the Acheron reincarnation sword was further improved. At this moment, he could activate 60% to 70% of the sword's power. There was another major breakthrough in cultivating the Acheron Blood Sea, and that was creating the immortal blood spirit. Of course, Su Fang did not dare to create the immortal blood spirit. Instead, he cultivated the method of creating the immortal blood spirit to study the corpse refining puppets. After countless experiments, he finally succeeded a few times, and the day of mass production of corpse refining puppets was not far away. Sizzle, a piece of ice soul blood fetus fell into the bloody whirlpool. Like an ice cube falling into boiling water, It quickly turned into a part of the bloody water and was devoured and integrated. The evil intent contained in the ice soul blood fetus was directly refined by Su Fong's 9-sun celestial fire. The bloody whirlpool, which was more than 7,000 feet long, burned with a monstrous flame of life. It was extremely spectacular as it spiraled and whistled. A bloody man, Su Fong, who was more than 100 feet tall, was formed in the bloody whirlpool. He was immersed in cultivation. About 3 years passed. However, it was not Su Fong who had another breakthrough, but there was a commotion from the heavenly Dipper creation cauldron. Su Fong placed the heavenly Dipper creation cauldron in the treasure refining palace for Qiu Tianshi to study. Even if Su Fong did not integrate the heavenly Dipper creation cauldron, Qiu Tianshi could not activate such a peerless treasure cauldron. He could only study the formation and handprints in the Tao artifact to improve his treasure refining ability. The commotion from the heavenly Dipper creation cauldron was immediately sensed by Su Fong. The bloody man, Su Fong, suddenly opened his eyes, and the light of surprise bloomed from his eyes. The flaming cloud spiritual gourd has been promoted to a top-grade Taoist instrument. Haha, good news, really good news. It turned out that Su Fong had been placing the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, the Starry Daylight Sword, and the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd in the heavenly Dipper creation cauldron. With the help of the cauldron's divine power and various spiritual items, the 3 treasures' quality could be improved. Even the Void Dust Cauldron was placed in the heavenly Dipper creation cauldron to improve its quality. Who would have thought that the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd would advance to a top-grade Tao artifact so quickly? How long had it been since the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd had been promoted to a high-grade Tao artifact? Not even 500 years. It had to be known that refining a top-grade Tao artifact would take at least a few thousand years. It would take tens of thousands of years for a top-grade Tao artifact to be born. The Fire Cloud Spiritual Gourd had advanced from a high-grade Tao artifact to a top-grade Tao artifact in less than 500 years. This was all thanks to the Heavenly Dipper Good Fortune Cauldron and Su Fong's Fire Attribute Divine Might. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to advance without several thousand years. What's more, once the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd advanced to a top-grade Tao artifact, it would definitely not be an ordinary top-grade Tao artifact. Whoosh! A young immortal appeared above the blood whirlpool with a Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd. Good treasure, really good treasure. It has finally advanced. Su Fong had deep feelings for the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda, the Starry Daylight Sword, and the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd. Even after obtaining a peerless Tao artifact like the profound Underworld Lightning Archive, he was reluctant to give it up and try to find ways to improve its quality. The Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd emitted a majestic fire attribute aura and a boiling sea of fire inside. Moreover, it was not an ordinary flame, but Su Fong's 9 yang immortal flames. The spiritual gourd can finally be put to good use. Su Fong was very excited. The Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd was formed from a spiritual item. After fusing with the 9 yang immortal flames, it would become a peerless magic treasure with terrifying power. When activated with the domineering 9 yang immortal flames, its power would be even more terrifying than those peak supreme-grade fire attribute magic treasures. This way, Su Fong would not need to expend his own yang energy to activate the 9 yang immortal flames. He only needed to fuse some of the 9 yang immortal flames into the spiritual gourd. Moreover, the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd could also be used to refine weapons. With Su Fong's current cultivation realm and ability to refine weapons, it was just right for him. The Heavenly Dipper Creation Cauldron could not be activated for a long time. He continued to place the Flaming Cloud Spiritual Gourd in the Heavenly Dipper Creation Cauldron to improve its quality. He then paid attention to the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda and the Starry Daylight Sword. These 2 treasures would advance to supreme-grade magic treasures within 100 years. Good things came one after another. First, it was the incomparably huge gorilla demon. After devouring the corpses of thousands of gorilla demons in the Thunder Waterfall Abyss, it finally recovered a lot of the life force it had exhausted in the demon sealing tower. Now, it had at least 40% of its peak strength. Later, Su Fong communicated with the gorilla demon's consciousness and found out that this colossal gorilla demon was the mount of demon venerable ancient netherworld. At its peak, it had reached the level of a peak immortal emperor. Its strength was incomparably shocking. Now that it had recovered 40% of its strength, even old monster Zhu Tian would find it difficult to deal with it. Dugamujian and perfected Peng Hua had been in the true dragon realm for nearly 100 years. Not only had they fully recovered their elixirs and various resources, but their strength had also improved, especially Dugamujian, who was worthy of being a peerless sword cultivator. In just 100 years, not only had he gained the recognition of the twin swords of annihilation, but he could also activate 60 to 70% of the twin swords of annihilation's power. Su Fong could not help but be amazed. Yin Senshin had only activated less than half of the twin swords of annihilation's power back then. However, these two immortal emperor experts, Dugamujian was arrogant and pedantic, while perfected Peng Hua was incomparably noble and aloof. It was difficult to get close to them. It was not easy to completely take them under one's command. However, Su Fong had an agreement with them first. When they were really needed, they had no choice but to take action. Then, there was Gue. After devouring a young devil, Gue finally woke up after many years of slumber. At this moment, his appearance had changed greatly. He was no longer in his monster form. Instead, he looked somewhat like a devil. Gue's strength naturally underwent another transformation. He broke through the peak immortal emperor realm and reached the level of an ordinary immortal emperor. If he unleashed his poison and turned into the yellow spring blood sea, even the incomparably huge gorilla devil would be afraid of him. About 5 years later, layers of tribulation, chi suddenly spurted out from Su Fong's body. It turned out that after devouring and fusing with the ice soul blood fetus, he had finally broken through to the peak of the fourth Dao realm. He quickly condensed his body and flew out of the true dragon realm, arriving at the palace of the carefree immortal island. The natural spiritual chi here was incomparably abundant. It would be a sin if he did not use it. Tribulation fire surged out, causing Su Fong to turn into a burning man. The impurities in the fetal membrane that seeped out of his body were immediately burned to ashes. A few days later, the tribulation fire gradually extinguished. The chi on Su Fong's body was already at the fifth Dao realm of the world immortal realm. Without creating a formation, Su Fong directly activated the ethereal true scripture and released the divine might of his domain. It covered an area of thousands of miles around the carefree immortal island, absorbing the natural spiritual chi in this area and rushing towards Su Fong like a tsunami. Such ability to devour spiritual chi was beyond the reach of a peak immortal emperor. On the carefree immortal island, tens of thousands of cultivators of the heavenly Dao White Sun sect were all shocked. They looked at the palace of Su Fong with reverence. At this moment, more than 10 cultivators broke through the void and appeared on the carefree immortal island. The leader was an old man with a youthful face. His chi was void. If one carefully sensed it, they would be able to sense that there was a golden dragon shadow circling around him. This person was an immortal emperor expert of the heavenly Dao immortal world's long family. His cultivation realm was one level lower than immortal emperor Tianong, but his strength was still incomparably shocking. Behind the old man were peerless experts of the heavenly Dao White Sun sect and the Long family. Long Xiaojun and Huang Lingyao were also among them. Huang Lingyao's temperament became colder and colder with a cold beauty. Long Xiaojun, on the other hand, didn't change much. At this moment, he had lost his usual domineering and calmness. His handsome face was filled with anger. Seven-star child followed behind like a follower. He didn't even have the chance to talk to Huang Lingyao. The difference in their statuses was so great that it was like the difference between heaven and earth. The commotion on the carefree, immortal island attracted everyone's attention. Who is this person? How can he stir up the natural spiritual chi in an area of thousands of miles? Could he be an immortal emperor? Impossible. The strongest expert on the carefree, immortal island is only a peak immortal emperor. He's with us right now. The eyes of the sinister old man of the carefree, immortal island were filled with disbelief. It's the golden-faced young master. Immortal emperor, he of the Long family asked in a deep voice. Is the golden-faced young master also an immortal emperor expert? The sinister old man shook his head and answered, this person's chi is only at the 4th Tao realm. He should be breaking through to the 5th Tao realm and absorbing the natural spiritual chi of heaven and earth to cause this commotion. How can a 5th Tao realm immortal have such amazing ability? This person is simply heaven-defying. The experts of the Heavenly Tao White Sun sect and the Long family were all shocked. 7-Star Child's eyes were filled with vigor. I've really climbed up the tree this time. My future is just around the corner. Huang Lingyao, on the other hand, is nothing but the golden-faced young master's everything. The anger on Long Xiaojuan's face disappeared. His eyes were filled with doubt and jealousy. However, when he saw the admiration in Huang Lingyao's eyes, his anger burned again. He revealed a cold, murderous intent. Junior sister Huang is my woman. Who in the great heavenly Tao immortal world doesn't know that? The golden-faced young master dares to steal my woman? Let's see if you have what it takes. Whoosh, many experts landed on carefree, immortal island. Immortal emperor, he said politely, the Long family of the heavenly Tao immortal world is here to visit young master. There was a moment of silence. Su Fang's cold and arrogant voice sounded. Wait first. The others didn't feel anything, but Long Xiaojun was furious again. He was about to say something when he was stopped by immortal emperor He's sharp eyes. Unexpectedly, they had to wait for half a year. Su Fang used the abundant natural spiritual chi of carefree immortal island to stabilize himself at the 5th Tao realm. Then, he walked out of the palace and met the experts of the Long family and the Heavenly Tao White Sun sect. You're Huang Lingyao? The divine light in his eyes scanned the crowd and finally fell on Huang Lingyao. He showed a hint of interest. At this moment, Su Fang's body was covered by the life-shrinking technique. Not to mention Huang Lingyao. Even immortal Emperor Tianong and the Tranquility Emperor couldn't sense anything related to Su Fang. Before Huang Lingyao could speak, Long Xiaojun said domineeringly, You're the golden-faced young master? Su Fang focused on Huang Lingyao and treated Long Xiaojun as heir. He was so arrogant and arrogant. Long Xiaojun was furious. He said, Golden-faced young master, rumor has it that you have several peerless immortal emperors as your subordinates, and that you're a peerless genius. Is that true? Su Fang looked at Long Xiaojun like a supreme ruler looking at an ant. He said in a majestic voice, Who are you? Why do you have to talk to me? Long Xiaojun was so angry that his handsome face turned red. He had to suppress his anger and force a smile. I'm Long Xiaojun, the son of immortal Emperor Tianong, one of the top 10 young masters. I admire the golden-faced young master and want to ask for some advice. =_ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1351. 10 Young Masters? The so-called 10 young masters of this border region are just a joke in my eyes. You want to challenge me? Su Fang said coldly, full of disdain and arrogance. Long Xiaojun could no longer hold back his anger. Gold-faced young master, you're just relying on the experts behind you. Why do you have to look down on the 10 young masters and humiliate me like this? Immortal Emperor, he from the Long clan, shouted coldly. Long Xiaojun, don't be rude in front of gold-faced young master. Su Fang waved his hand and said lightly, It's fine. Since this young master from the Long clan is not convinced, then I'll teach him a thing or two. I'll let him know that the so-called 10 young masters are just frogs at the bottom of a well. Whoosh, Su Fang directly flew above carefree Immortal Island, and Long Xiaojun followed closely behind. Be careful. My Long clan's ultimate ability is not to be underestimated. Gold-face young master, don't be unable to take even one move from the yellow tyrant dragon claw. Long Xiaojun formed a seal with a golden Xinguang, which turned into a huge dragon claw with an area of 10 feet. It carried a shocking aura that could crush all matter, and an unparalleled aura burst out. The Long clan's ultimate ability is indeed not bad. Su Fong smiled faintly and formed a seal to activate the fire god's aura. In an instant, the surroundings were filled with raging flames and turned into a flame domain. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. How domineering was the Nine Suns' immortal fire. The golden dragon claw collided with the flame domain and was incinerated. The dragon claw collapsed upon contact and turned into nothingness. The so-called ultimate ability of the Long clan couldn't even break through Su Fong's domain. Immortal Emperor He's eyes flashed with disbelief. Everyone else was also shocked. Boom, boom, boom. Long Xiaojun continued to activate his Dragon Qi and Monarch Qi to unleash his abilities. His attacks were like tidal waves that shook the surroundings. Su Fong's fire god's domain was constantly being worn down, but it didn't shatter. He originally wanted to teach Gold-Face young master a lesson, but he couldn't take him down after a long time. Moreover, his opponent clearly wasn't using his full strength. Long Xiaojun became impatient. Separating his hands, he struck out an earth-shattering handprint, condensing into a gigantic, ferocious, golden-yellow dragon shadow equals N underscore R. A monstrous aura that could destroy everything rushed towards Su Fong like a huge dragon stepping on a huge wave, wanted to swallow Su Fong. Under the golden mask, Su Fong raised the corner of his mouth, revealing a disdainful smile. Long Xiaojun, who used to be high and mighty, had now been surpassed by him. He was like a weak chicken, and he had an unfair advantage. Su Fong activated his Yang Meridian, which was also his Lightning Meridian. The Yang Qi and the power of the Lightning Tribulation fused into a divine might of lightning and fire that suddenly burst out. Boom! Boom! After a series of explosions, the dragon image formed by Long Xiaojun's aura shattered like paper. The Dragon Clan's divine ability was cultivated with Dragon Qi as the foundation. Dragon Qi was also a type of demonic Qi, but it was of a higher level than ordinary demonic Qi. The big goblin feared lightning the most. Su Fong's lightning tribulation combined with the Nine Sun immortal flame was extremely domineering, suppressing all divine abilities condensed from demonic Qi. At this time, Su Fong had only used less than half of its power, yet he easily dispelled Long Xiaojun's seemingly earth-shattering attack. This scene caused a great shock to the Heavenly Tao White Sun sect and the Long Clan's experts. In front of Gold-Face Young Master, Long Xiaojun, one of the 10 great young masters and the most outstanding son of immortal Emperor Tianong, was nothing but a clown. Nine Palace Dragon, Subduing Nail. Long Xiaojun, who was completely enraged, didn't give up and threw out a Dao artifact, letting out a dragon roar. It was a peak supreme gray Dao artifact. It was 3 feet long and looked like a golden nail. After being thrown out by Long Xiaojun, it immediately turned into 9 dragon shadows that were more than 5 feet tall and landed around Su Fong. A terrifying dragon Qi condensed into a shackling force, trapping Su Fong in the middle. Not only was his physical body shackled, but even his primordial spirit and true Qi were shackled. Moreover, there was a strange force that was causing his true Qi to flow rapidly. My 9 Palace Dragon, Subduing Nail, can even shackle a peak immortal Emperor expert. In the end, he will be trapped to death. Gold-Face Young Master, if you don't want to be embarrassed, I advise you to admit defeat as soon as possible. Long Xiaojun laughed loudly and proudly. You want to shackle me with a mere peak supreme grade Dao artifact? Young Master Long, you are too naive. A peak supreme grade Dao artifact is indeed extraordinary, but it also depends on who is using it. How much power can you use from this Dao artifact? Let me show you what a truly powerful Dharma artifact is. Su Fong sneered disdainfully. He activated the power of the World Seed and formed a World Divine Aura to force the shackling force away. As for the Primordial Spirit, with Su Fang's Primordial Spirit power, he didn't need to use his second Primordial Spirit to easily break the shackling force. Asterisk swoosh. Asterisk the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd was summoned by Su Fang. It immediately spurted out raging flames and turned the surroundings into a sea of fire. The incinerating power of the Nine Suns' immortal fire and the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd not only broke the shackling force of the Nine Palace Dragon's subduing nail, but also gradually melted the Nine Dragon Shadows. After the Flaming Cloud Spirit Gourd became a supreme-grade Dharma artifact, its power was terrifying. Long Xiaojuan's expression suddenly became extremely ugly. He gritted his teeth and said in a cold and mysterious voice, "In the name of the Supreme Divine Dragon, in the name of the Divine Dragon, I, Long Xiaojun, deprive this person of his ability to use his divine ability. The Divine Dragon's curse equals N_R." Su Fang's eyebrows furrowed, and a murderous glint flashed in his eyes. In the Demon Sealing Tower, Su Fang had experienced the Divine Dragon's curse used by immortal Emperor Tianang's clone. Not only was it strange and mysterious, but it was also extremely powerful. It could deprive the enemy of their cultivation, true qi, life force, and even fate. Such a divine ability was simply heaven-defying. If he didn't have a supreme divine ability like the life-shrinking art, it was very likely that he would have died at the hands of immortal Emperor Tianong. Now, Long Xiaojuan's Divine Dragon's curse was simply reckless, and Su Fang wanted to kill him. "If I want to live, the heavens cannot take it from me. My life is in my own hands, not the heavens. Who do you think you are, Long Xiaojun? Do you think you can control me?" Su Fang's body burned with the aura of fate. Life-shrinking art. Qi. Long Xiaojuan's divine aura was immediately incinerated by the ethereal power of fate. Fate is the creation of the heavens. If I want to live, the heavens cannot take it from me. Fate is the creation of the heavens. If I want to live, the heavens cannot live without me. Fate is the creation of the heavens. If I am destroyed, everything will be destroyed. Su Fang's eyes suddenly exploded with ethereal light as he chanted the Tao of fate with his nascent spirit. This was the life-shrinking art, a divine ability that could forcibly seize another's fate. As Su Fang's cultivation and yang qi increased, and his opponent wasn't a peerless expert, the life force he used to steal Long Xiaojuan's fate only made his hair turn slightly white. However, it was enough to kill Long Xiaojun. In an instant, Long Xiaojuan's draconic qi and domineering aura flowed out like a puncture balloon. Moreover, there was an ethereal power in the unseen world that forcibly seized his fate. Luo couldn't help but exclaim from the blood jade in his body, "Life-shrinking art, forcibly seizing another's fate. How tyrannical! Divine Dragon Curse, Long Xiaojun, stop! How dare you use my Long clan's forbidden art on golden-faced young master?" Immortal Emperor, he roared and exploded with his aura, sending Long Xiaojun flying, interrupting his Divine Dragon Curse and saving his life. Long Xiaojun instantly felt his draconic qi and imperial qi disappear completely. He seemed to have lost something intangible and was no different from an ordinary person. The Nine Palaces dragon, subduing nail, couldn't withstand the refining power of the Nine Suns, immortal fire, and Flame Cloud's spirit gourd. It let out a miserable draconic roar and condensed back into a large nail. After falling into Long Xiaojuan's hands and being refined by the Nine Suns' immortal fire, this peak supreme-grade Tao treasure was severely damaged. It would take tens of thousands of years for it to recover. Long Xiaojun looked at Su Fang. His eyes were filled with shock and fear, as if he had just seen a fiend equals N_1 equals N_1. Everyone was shocked. This golden-faced young master was actually so powerful. A peerless genius of the Long clan was like a weak chicken before him. Immortal Emperor, he flew over and cupped his fists at Su Fang. Long Xiaojun is young and ignorant. Golden-faced young master, please don't lower yourself to his level. He didn't know how badly Long Xiaojun was injured. He was worried that golden-faced young master would be enraged and release his immortal emperor subordinates. Not to mention carefree Immortal Island. Even the entire heavenly Tao immortal world would face a great disaster. You just save his life. If there's a next time, not only him, but the entire heavenly Tao immortal world will be wiped out by this young master. Su Fang's eyes exuded coldness, and his voice was filled with murderous intent. Then, he pointed at Seven-Star Child and said, "This person is not bad. I've taken a liking to him. He'll leave the heavenly Tao White Sun sect and become my subordinate." Seven-Star Child was considered a genius disciple in the heavenly Tao White Sun sect, but he was worthless in the eyes of immortal Emperor He. He had just offended golden-faced young master, so how could he not agree to such a small request? Seven-Star Child seemed to have been hit in the head by a peerless treasure that fell from the sky. He felt dizzy and was about to float to the sky. Not only the cultivators of carefree Immortal Island, but even the experts of the Long Clan and heavenly Tao White Sun sect were envious. Seven-Star Child, follow this young master. Su Fang brought Seven-Star Child back to the palace. Immortal Emperor, he glared at Long Xiaojun and said with his nascent spirit, "You almost brought a great disaster to the heavenly Tao immortal world. Humph, why don't you find a way to apologize to golden-faced young master?" Long Xiaojun staggered and almost fainted. How could the proud genius of the Long clan accept this if he had to apologize to golden-faced young master? Huang Lingyao suddenly said, "Please don't make things difficult for senior brother Long. Let me apologize to golden-faced young master." Junior sister Huang. Long Xiaojun suffered a heavy blow again. The woman he had chosen was trying to please another man. Which man could accept this? Huang Lingyao looked at Seven-Star Child, who followed Su Fang with a trace of doubt in her eyes. Why does this mysterious golden-faced young master want to take Seven-Star Child away? When Huang Lingyao came to visit, she was refused entry. Golden-faced young master said he would be in seclusion for a few days. Seven-Star Child. It turned out that Su Fang was going to suppress Seven-Star Child, devour his body, and fuse with his Black Lotus power. Su Fang's eyes flashed with divine light as he glanced at Seven-Star Child. He was very excited. Seven-Star Child cultivated the Black Lotus and relied on its power to become an immortal. He originally planned to use the Black Lotus to create a second true body, but who knew that it would benefit Su Fang? After Su Fang fused with it, he cultivated the Black Lotus true body. Although Seven-Star Child lost his second true body, he cultivated the power of the Black Lotus himself. Moreover, this person was really extraordinary. After coming to the immortal world from the small world for hundreds of years, the power of the Black Lotus had improved a lot. At this time, Su Fang could feel that his whole body was full of vitality. In the early morning, I habitually set yesterday's chapter to be updated regularly, and the chapter with fewer chapters will be updated at 9 o'clock p.m. =_ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliography. Chapter 1352. If I devour Seven-Star Child and merge his power with the Black Lotus, my Black Lotus true body should be able to mature. When the Xianhuang Six Paths Pagoda becomes a supreme-grade Taoist artifact, combined with the wood elemental divine power and the dragon taming wood on my left arm, how amazing will my vitality and physical recovery ability be? I can also cultivate with the Acheron Blood Sea. There are so many benefits. Su Fang looked at Seven-Star Child as if he was looking at a rare treasure, and his heart was burning with passion. Seven-Star Sun greets Master. From now on, Seven-Star Sun is willing to lay down his life for Master. He will not hesitate to go through fire and water for Master. Seven-Star Child knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Su Fang, then made a solemn vow. Very good. Then enter my Taoist artifact world, and I'll reward you handsomely, Su Fang said lightly. Seven-Star Child was overjoyed and let Su Fang take him into the Jinlong world. Seeing the environment of the Jinlong world, Seven-Star Child was shocked again and then ecstatic. This time, he could climb to the top with the golden-faced young master. However, the next moment, Su Fong said in a cold voice and took off his mask. Seven-Star Child, prepare to sacrifice your life for me, young master you. Seven-Star Child looked up in shock. You are. Impossible. How is this possible? Seeing Su Fong's true face, Seven-Star Child felt as if ice water had been poured over his head, as if the sky had been thrown into hell. He was dumbfounded. Su Fong sneered. Yes, I am Su Fong, an old acquaintance from the small world. Ah, impossible. How many years has it been since you ascended to the immortal world? How can you suddenly become the golden-faced young master? Seven-Star Child was shocked and couldn't believe it. Then he was filled with despair. The hatred he made in the small world was too deep, and begging for mercy was useless. Nothing is impossible. You can't do it, but it doesn't mean I, Su Fong, can't do it. Seven-Star Child, you owe me in the small world back then. Now, use everything you have to repay me. Su Fong spoke with a lofty voice. He activated the true Dragon Realm's divine might and wrapped it around Seven-Star Child, bringing him to the cultivation dojo. Whoosh, whoosh, traversing through the formation, before his body could even land on the ground, he had already transformed into a bloodwater state. It was as if a flood had gushed into the ground, swirling around, forming a massive bloodwater vortex. This demonic Tao cultivator. You're actually a demonic Tao cultivator. Seven-Star Child was scared out of his wits and fell into complete despair. A blood figure condensed in the blood vortex and said in a majestic voice, Seven-Star Child, it's your honor to be able to become a part of my Black Lotus true body. Let's end our feud here. A bloody ribbon appeared from the bloody vortex and wrapped around the Seven-Star Child, pulling him into the bloody water. Ah! Seven-Star Child only had time to let out a shrill scream before his skin was corroded layer by layer. Then his flesh, bones, and everything else, including the power of the Black Lotus, were absorbed into the blood. Seven-Star Child had fallen and turned into Su Fong's nutrients for his cultivation. As Su Fong's cultivation level increased, the Acheron Blood Sea's devouring ability became even more astonishing. Seven-Star Child's strength was low, so it only took a few breaths to devour his body. Seven-Star Child's body essence and cultivation level were almost negligible to the Acheron Blood Sea. What Su Fong cared about was the power of the Black Lotus. Activating the Black Lotus true body, the Black Lotus blood threads immediately floated in the bloody water, sizzling as they absorbed the power of the Black Lotus that had been absorbed by the bloody water. The Black Lotus blood threads quickly became full and then gradually thicker. New blood threads also split out, spreading to almost every corner of the body like capillaries. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The bloody water was quickly retracted by the blood figure in the center, turning into a physical state. Activating the Black Lotus true body, a majestic aura of life burst out. The blood threads connected Su Fong's blood, muscles, meridians, bones, and even his true chi. Su Fong's body was connected by layers of Black Lotuses and blood threads, making him look like a lotus root. The Black Lotus true body had matured. This was Su Fong's first matured Black Lotus true body ability. The greatest ability of the Black Lotus true body was its vitality, which could regenerate blood. After devouring the power of Seven-Star Child's Black Lotus, the recovery ability of the physical body was unimaginable. If combined with the Acheron Blood Sea, the Immortal Blood Spirit, and the Dragon Taming Wood, Su Fong's current physical body, even if he only had one arm left, or any part of his body, he could condense a new physical body. If he cultivated the Acheron Blood Sea to the extreme, even if he only had a head or a drop of blood essence left, he could still be resurrected. With a matured Black Lotus true body, even his true chi contained an amazing condensing ability. Su Fong was overjoyed that the Black Lotus true body had matured. Then, to Su Fong's surprise, there were more Black Lotus blood threads on the world seed, making the light cocoon of the world seed even more real. It spun a little faster, and the speed at which it absorbed the power of the world increased. Moreover, the seed in the world seed was clearly more condensed, and it was one step closer to being born equals underscore a 7-star child. I really have to thank you properly. Su Fong laughed loudly and was extremely pleased. The matured Black Lotus True Body has brought me many benefits. I need to continue cultivating and comprehending to be able to use it more effectively. After returning to the immortal AO Great World, he first advanced to the realm of Realm Immortals, then killed 7-star child and matured the Black Lotus True Body. Good things came one after another. Master, Huang Lingyao is here again. At this time, Old Monster Candlestick's vital spirit voice came from outside the Jinlong realm. Let's go and meet our former fellow disciples. Su Fong raised his eyebrows and sneered. He had several great enemies who came from the small world to the immortal realm. 7-star child was dead, and there was also this Huang Lingyao. Prince Shui's whereabouts were unknown, and Sheng Changshen was most likely killed by Huang Lingyao. He flew out of the Jinlong realm. Miss Huang Lingyao, what brings you here? Su Fong, who put on the golden mask again, turned into the golden face prince again. In order to prevent Huang Lingyao from noticing, Su Fong concealed his aura, especially his purple Qi Dharma spirit, and carried an arrogant and cold aura all over his body. Huang Lingyao showed a rare, charming smile and said, Prince specially sent people to the Tiandao White Sun sect to ask me to come and meet you. Why are you asking me now? Su Fong said lightly, When I came to this immortal realm, I heard about the fame of the #1 fairy, Huang Lingyao. Later, some busybody proposed a marriage alliance with you, which made me very curious. Since I came to the Tiandao immortal realm this time, I naturally wanted to meet you. Huang Lingyao stared at Su Fong, her eyes flashing, and said with a happy smile, I wonder if Huang Lingyao can enter your eyes? Huang Lingyao, are you trying to bewitch me? Su Fong sneered in his heart. Then he said lightly, You're not bad. Huang Lingyao's eyes flashed with disappointment. Obviously, she still cared about the opinion of this mysterious prince from another immortal realm. Quickly concealing her emotions, Huang Lingyao came to the seat next to Su Fong and sat down. Her voice became soft and intimate. The so-called marriage alliance proposed by those busybodies has been spread all over the world. What do you think, Prince? Su Fong laughed and asked, What do you think, Miss Huang? Huang Lingyao said decisively, If you don't mind, in the future, you can help Huang Lingyao leave this immortal realm and become a supreme powerhouse. I will naturally give up everything. Give up everything? Ha ha! Su Fong laughed loudly. What a good Huang Lingyao! In order to become a peerless powerhouse, she could even devour her sister. At this time, in order to cling to power, she did not hesitate to sacrifice herself. Not only to enemies, but also to relatives and even herself. She was so ruthless. You're saying you're willing to give up everything for me? Su Fong's gaze fell on Huang Lingyao's face, then moved down, sliding past her snow-white neck and stopping between her towering peaks. Suddenly, Su Fong grabbed one of Huang Lingyao's arms and pulled fiercely. Huang Lingyao's body suddenly stiffened, and then her eyes flashed with determination. She fell into Su Fong's arms and closed her eyes, her whole body trembling uncontrollably. She looked like she was at his mercy, so tempting. Su Fong's palm rubbed Huang Lingyao's plump and soft place. Then he bent his finger and lightly flicked Huang Lingyao's face. Next, he pushed Huang Lingyao out of his arms. Huang Lingyao was shocked. Prince, that young master of the Long family is here. I'm afraid he's here specifically for you. You have an unclear relationship with him. If you want to be my Taoist companion, you have to deal with him first. Su Fong said indifferently, and no one could tell whether he was happy or angry. Sure enough, a moment later, Long Xiaojun's voice came from outside the palace. Long Xiaojun is here to apologize to Prince. Su Fong waved his hand and walked to the back embarrassedly. Huang Lingyao's eyes immediately froze. Long Xiaojun, who used to do everything to please and curry favor with her, suddenly became detestable in her heart. Su Fang, on the surface, you look like you don't get close to women, but you even took advantage of Huang Lingyao. You're getting more and more shameless. Law couldn't wait to mock him in the blood jade. I'm not the one taking advantage of him. He's the one taking advantage of me. Don't forget, I'm the golden face prince now. Besides, I'm not doing this to take advantage of her, but to give her hope and let her take the initiative to break off with Long Xiaojun. Huang Lingyao, didn't you do things by hook or by crook? This time, let her taste the bitter fruit of her own making. Sinister, too sinister. You took advantage of her, but still said it with conviction. You're even more despicable and shameless. Compared to Huang Lingyao's ruthlessness, I'm still far from it. Su Fang, how does it feel? Not bad. Cough, what did you say? It's plain and ordinary. How can there be any feeling? It's like touching a ball of cotton. Law laughed loudly in the blood jade. In the next few days, Immortal Emperor, he of the Long family, kept probing Su Fang's background. Su Fang didn't mention a word about his origin, which seemed very mysterious. But intentionally or unintentionally, he let Dugamujian, Immortal Penghua, and Old Monster Zhu Tian, these Immortal Emperor experts, come out to get some fresh air, which immediately shocked the experts of the Long family and the White Sun sect. On behalf of Immortal Emperor Tianong, Immortal Emperor, he invited Su Fang to the King City of the Heavenly Dao Immortal World as a guest. Su Fang couldn't refuse and reluctantly agreed. As a result, under the escort of Immortal Emperor he, the Long family, and the White Sun sect, the Golden Face Prince swaggered straight to the King City of the Heavenly Dao Immortal World. This time, when he entered the King City of the Heavenly Dao Immortal World, he would directly face Immortal Emperor Tianong. What kind of confrontation would there be? == our download address. Mobile reading, bibliography. Chapter 1353. Heavenly Law Immortal World B. King City was like a huge pearl floating in the air. At this time, the enchantment above King City opened, and a peak supreme grade Dao artifact was suspended in the air, emitting a bright golden light, making the entire King City extremely glorious. Countless immortal cities surrounded the place where the power of the heavenly law immortal world gathered. Golden light shone in all directions, and immortal chi lingered around. More than a dozen immortals stood in the air. The middle-aged man in a golden Dao robe had a vast aura, as if he was the supreme ruler between heaven and earth. It was Immortal Emperor Tianong. Behind him were all peerless powerhouses of the heavenly law immortal world. Beside one of them was an Immortal Emperor powerhouse in a Dao White Sun sect robe, and the rest were immortal emperors. Whoosh, a figure broke through the air and came. The person who came was wearing a purple gold Dao robe, with a palm-sized black spot on his left cheek, and a cold face with supreme arrogance. This person's aura was only slightly weaker than Immortal Emperor Tianong. He was also a powerful Immortal Emperor powerhouse. Lord Situ, why are you here? Immortal Emperor Tianong cupped his fist, and the supreme ruler of the heavenly law immortal world showed a flattering smile on his face. The heavenly Dao immortal realm has set up such a grand formation to welcome the golden-faced young master. I would like to see who this mysterious golden-faced young master is. Lord Situ snorted and said in a majestic voice. Immortal Emperor Tianong smiled and said, although the golden-faced young master is extraordinary and has several immortal emperor powerhouses under him, how can he be compared to Lord Situ? Lord Situ smiled proudly. Half an hour later, more than 10,000 Long family and heavenly law White Sun sect experts entered the sky above King City. Golden-faced young master, a young cultivator wearing a golden mask, suddenly became the focus of attention. For a moment, he was a bit more dazzling than the sun in the sky and the Dao artifact that scattered the light like the sun. Su Fang was also shocked by such a scene. Then he sneered in his heart. Immortal Emperor Tianong, you set up such a big lineup, but you never dreamed that you would welcome an enemy who wants to take your head. Law laughed in the blood jade in his body. Immortal Emperor Tianong, is this considered inviting a wolf into the house? Su Fong almost stumbled. Law was getting more and more unruly. King City. Buzz, the Tao runes of the heavenly secret life, shrinking technique kept flashing in his mind. Immortal Emperor Tian Ong equals N_R. Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's avatar, which was sealed in the heavenly devil blood plate, also sensed the aura of his true body and immediately began to struggle violently. This soul clone had been shackled in the heavenly devil blood plate by Su Fong and burned with demonic flames every once in a while. It had long been tortured to the brink of death. At this moment, an arrogant primordial spirit voice sounded. Su Fong, I am here. Let's see how you can escape from me this time. Ha ha! A young immortal appeared in the heavenly devil blood plate. You're thinking too much. This time, I came to the heavenly Tao, immortal world's king city precisely to take the head of your original body. At that time, my original body's primordial spirit will be with you, and will also enjoy the feeling of being burned by the devil flames for eternity. The young immortal said sternly. Then, he shot out a devil flame that enveloped immortal Emperor Tian Ang's primordial spirit avatar. At the same time, pain could be seen in immortal Emperor Tian Ang's eyes. The heavenly Tao White Sun sect immortal emperor next to him asked with his primordial spirit voice, My lord, are you feeling unwell? Ever since my avatar entered the giant battle canyon and never returned, my primordial spirit would feel the pain of being burned from time to time. This time, it's especially intense. It's okay, I'll just suppress it a little. Let's go and meet this mysterious golden face, young master. Golden face, young master. I've been waiting for you here for a long time. A hearty laughter sounded. Immortal Emperor Tian Ong came forward with the peerless experts of the heavenly Tao immortal world. Su Fongda's full power swept over. Sensing the aura of the purple Qi Dharma spirit on immortal Emperor Tian Ong, Su Fong's eyes were cold. The third part of the purple Qi Dharma spirit must be obtained. Immortal Emperor Tian Ong threatened Xuanxin Fairy and Xianing Tian's lives in an attempt to snatch the purple Qi Dharma spirit. This debt must be settled. Seeing the experts behind immortal Emperor Tian Ong, Su Fong could not help but raise his eyebrows. The strength of the heavenly Tao immortal world was indeed incomparably strong. He cupped his fists and said proudly, Greetings, immortal Emperor Tian Ong. Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's eyes bloomed with divine light as he sized up Su Fong. He sensed the vast and domineering flame aura on Su Fong's body. Everything else was a piece of nothingness, which seemed incomparably deep and mysterious. Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's heart was filled with fear. He cupped his fists and returned the greeting. Golden face, young master, I'm deeply honored to have you in the heavenly Tao immortal world's king city. Please come to my palace for a chat. Su Fong walked with his hands behind his back. He did not even look at the others. How arrogant! Many experts of the heavenly Tao immortal world all felt that the young masters of the powerful forces from other immortal realms should be so arrogant. However, Lord Situ's voice was full of disdain. What an arrogant junior! How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? Take off your mask and tell me where you came from. Let me see who you are. Who are you? How dare you be arrogant in front of me? Su Fong smiled coldly. He scanned Lord Situ with his great perfection ability and immediately sensed that this person's aura was very similar to immortal Emperor Tian Ang's. However, he did not come from this immortal realm. Obviously, this person was an expert from another immortal realm. He should be from an incomparably powerful force behind the heavenly Tao immortal world. I am from the heavenly mandate, Hao Song sect. How dare you say who I am? You really don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Coward who hides his head, but shows his tail, kneel down and apologize to me. Lord Situ smiled gloomily. Suddenly, a monstrous aura burst out. Monarch City and the surrounding 3,000 miles were instantly covered by his domain divine power. Even the sky was covered, as if he was the ruler of all things in this void. Kneel down. He pointed at Su Fong. The domain divine power condensed into a giant hand and slapped down on Su Fong. Heavenly Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect. It was the powerful force behind immortal Emperor Tianong. It was located in the central immortal realm of the great immortal world. It was the absolute overlord force. No force could compete with it. It represented heaven, ruled the fate of all living things, and controlled the firmament. This was the origin of the name of the Heavenly Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect. How domineering it was. The Heavenly Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect, is indeed the supreme force in the endless world. With your strength, you can be found everywhere in the Heavenly Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect. How dare you make me kneel down to you? Su Fong said in a lofty voice. Break. A voice suddenly appeared in front of Su Fong. A vast and sharp sword essence burst out, tearing the void with endless sharpness. Swish, swish, swish. The shackles of Lord Situ's domain divine power were instantly shattered by the sword essence. The domain divine power that shrouded the area immediately disappeared. Duga Mujian, the man who attacked, had a wild and unruly chi power. His eyes were as sharp as swords. He was the peerless sword cultivator, Dugu Mujian, who had a 10,000-year agreement with Su Fong. What a peerless sword cultivator! This man's sword essence broke Lord Situ's domain divine power. If he activates the flying sword, I'm afraid even Tranquility Emperor will have to avoid him. Golden-faced young master is indeed extraordinary. He has such a peerless sword cultivator as his subordinate. He can do whatever he wants in this immortal realm. Many experts in the Heavenly Tao immortal realm were shocked to see Duga Mujian's sword cultivator divine power. Lord Situ's eyes were also filled with fear. He looked at Su Fong and asked in a deep voice, Who are you? Which immortal realm are you from? Su Fong smiled proudly. I'm from Metal Sky. My surname is Tian. You can call me Young Master Tian. Metal Sky? Which immortal realm is this force from? Tian, what a strange surname. Lord Situ's face was full of doubts. He could not think of such a big force as Metal Sky. Su Fong said, In the grand immortal realm, there are so many secluded ancient cultivation forces. Metal Sky has not appeared for nearly 10 million years. Lord Situ from Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect, please don't make wild guesses. So it's a secluded ancient cultivation force. No wonder. Lord Situ dispelled his doubts and said to Su Fong, I'm Situ Jie from Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect in the central immortal realm. I've offended you just now. Please forgive me, young Master Tian. Immortal Emperor Tianong laughed and said, Good, good. Lord Situ is from Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect, and young Master Tian is from a secluded force. It's a good opportunity to make friends. Immortal Emperor Tianong and Situ Jie, accompanied by other peerless experts in the Heavenly Tao immortal realm. They followed young Master Tian into Immortal Emperor Tianong's palace. After a round of hospitality, Su Fong was arranged to stay on an immortal mountain. Su Fong, you'd better not have a head-on conflict with people from Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect. The power of Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect, is far beyond your imagination. Duga Mujian transmitted his voice to Su Fong from the True Dragon realm. This arrogant and unruly peerless sword cultivator dared to barge into the Devil realm to save his beloved wife. When he mentioned Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect, he was filled with incomparable reverence. It was as if discussing this name behind their back was a great disrespect. Su Fong asked, Is Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect, really that powerful? Ruling the fate of all living beings on behalf of the heavens and controlling the heavens is not empty words. Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect, definitely has the strength to do so. Immortal emperors like Situ Jie and Immortal Emperor Tianong are considered supreme rulers in this immortal realm. However, in Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect, they're just lackeys. How powerful do you think it is? Old monster Zhu Tian also chimed in, Lord Dugu is right. Heaven's Mandate, Hao Tsang Sect, is indeed incomparably powerful. Their might shakes the entire immortal realm. Su Fong frowned and fell in a deep thought. After a long time, Su Fong's eyes shone with a ruthless and resolute light. No matter who or what force it is, I will not back down if they stop me from seizing the purple cloud Dharma spirit and killing immortal Emperor Tianong. A voice of praise came from the blood jade in Luo Zai's body. That's right. If you want to become a peerless expert standing at the peak of the immortal realm, you must have such fearless courage. Heaven's mandate how Tsong's sect is indeed incomparably powerful. But so what? When I ascended from a small world to the immortal realm, immortal emperors were like gods. Didn't I surpass them now? If you want to reach the peak, you have to surpass those who think it's impossible. Heaven's mandate how Tsong's sect is my goal in the future. Su Fang's voice was filled with strong confidence, an incomparable domineering aura. This confidence and domineering aura were the peerless sharpness that Su Fang had honed step by step from a trash who couldn't cultivate in a small world to where he was now. I must plan carefully to kill immortal Emperor Tianong. The Heaven's Mandate immortal realm has a deep foundation and is incomparable to the Great Qin immortal realm. The method of controlling the Great Qin immortal realm will definitely not work in the Heaven's Mandate immortal realm. In the territory of the Heaven's Mandate immortal realm, immortal Emperor Tianong can control the power of the world and borrow the power of the Heaven's Mandate immortal realm. His strength is incomparably powerful, but my subordinates are suppressed. With the help of an expert like Situ Jia, it will be difficult to kill him. I must find a way to lure immortal Emperor Tianong out of the Heaven's Mandate immortal realm. After killing him, controlling the Heaven's Mandate immortal realm will be easy. Su Fang racked his brains to think of a way to lure immortal Emperor Tianong out of the Heaven's Mandate immortal realm. =_our download address. Mobile reading bibliography. Chapter 1354. Under the invitation of immortal Emperor Tianong, Su Fang reluctantly stayed in the king city of the heavenly law immortal world B. Su Fang's goal was very simple, to find an opportunity to lure immortal Emperor Tianong out of the heavenly law immortal world, then kill him and seize the third part of the purple Qi Dharma spirit. Second, primordial spirit. In the cave, Su Fang's majestic voice sounded. Am I going to kill immortal Emperor Tianong? The murderous aura of the second primordial spirit grew stronger and stronger, and its voice was full of killing intent. Don't act rashly for the time being. Use your primordial spirit's power to secretly control some experts of the Long family and the Heavenly Law White Sun sect in the Heavenly Law immortal world to inquire about information. At the same time, prepare for killing immortal Emperor Tianong and controlling the Heavenly Law immortal world in the future. Try not to alert the enemy. That's easy. The second primordial spirit turned into a black Xian Guang and disappeared from the cave. Before going to the lightning world, Su Fang had arranged for many experts to return to their respective forces, and there were many in the Heavenly Law immortal world. Su Fang secretly contacted them to inquire about information and wait for an opportunity to act. Su Fang himself entered the Jinlong world to cultivate the 9 Yang 9 changes, Yellow Spring Blood Sea, and other techniques. The most important thing was the Black Lotus real body. After swallowing the power of 7 Star Child's Black Lotus, the Black Lotus real body finally matured. It still needed to be constantly cultivated and comprehended to be able to exert its greatest effect. 5 years passed in a flash. Jinlong world. In the turbulent blood vortex, the bloody man, Su Fang, suddenly formed a seal, and from the surrounding blood, a bloody man condensed. Different from the huge bloody man, Su Fang in the center, these bloody men actually separated from the Yellow Spring Blood Sea, crossed the blood vortex, and sat cross-legged on top of it. Then, the bloody man in the center of the blood vortex also separated his legs from the Yellow Spring Blood Sea and condensed into a physical state above the vortex, standing with his hands behind his back. The area of the Yellow Spring Blood Sea also shrank rapidly, less than 1/10 of its former size, only about 60 or 70 feet. There were a total of 5 blood figures. In addition to the Yellow Spring Blood Sea below and the original body above, Su Fang had actually divided his body into 7. The bloody water below was cultivating the Yellow Spring Blood Sea. The other 5 bloody figures had also entered a state of cultivation. Furthermore, the cultivation methods that they cultivated were completely different from each other. 9 suns and 9 transformations, illusory fire cloud, ethereal enlightenment, heaven's secret life, shrinking technique, and tyrannical emperor's heaven-soaring technique. Ha! Combining the black lotus true body with the Acheron blood sea and the immortal blood spirit, I've finally achieved a major breakthrough. Su Fang's face was abnormally pale, and his aura was weak, as if his vitality had been greatly damaged. However, his face was filled with joy. The maturation of Su Fang's true body of Su Fang gave him amazing vitality and physical recovery ability. With the help of a netherworld sea of blood and the method of creating the immortal blood spirit, the netherworld sea of blood transformed and condensed into blood figures that were separated from the netherworld sea of blood. These blood figures were somewhat similar to the immortal blood spirit, but they were completely different from the immortal blood spirit of the netherworld devil emperor. They were equivalent to doppelgangers. Each doppelganger could major in different cultivation methods at the same time. As long as the blood and water were combined, the original body could integrate what the doppelganger had cultivated. Even if the original body did not need to cultivate outside, the 6 blood figure doppelgangers could cultivate and improve in the Jinlong realm. Furthermore, they were cultivating different cultivation methods at the same time. How could such a cultivation speed not be fast? This was completely different from the doppelgangers of other practitioners. The netherworld sea of blood could be separated and merged at any time. Which practitioner's doppelganger could do this? There was another huge advantage. Even if the original body was unfortunately killed, the blood figure doppelgangers could still merge and condense into a new Su Fang. However, in that case, Su Fang's strength would definitely be greatly reduced. At this time, the Yellow Spring Blood Sea's transformation had already surpassed that of the Netherworld Devil Emperor. After all, the Netherworld Devil Emperor did not have as many physical abilities as Su Fang. Moreover, Su Fang's blood figure doppelgangers were different from the immortal blood spirit. They did not need to worry about being detected by the will of heaven and being punished by heaven. Of course, Su Fang's current cultivation was still far from that of the Netherworld Devil Emperor. Splitting into 7 was already his limit. Moreover, the original body was very weak and could not exert its original strength. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Su Fang's original body made a seal. The 3 blood figures immediately collapsed and turned back into blood and were sucked into the original body's mouth. After merging the 3 blood figure doppelgangers, the original body's aura suddenly became vast. It was just that his face was a little pale. As for the remaining 3 doppelgangers, one cultivated the 9 changes of the 9 suns, and the other cultivated the life shrinking skill. The doppelganger in the blood state naturally cultivated the Yellow Spring Blood Sea. At the same time, it constantly merged with the Netherworld Samsara Sword. These 3 cultivation methods were the most important to Su Fang. The benefits brought by the maturing of the Black Lotus True Body were far more than that. It was because Su Fang's physical body had reached perfection. He had also devoured a Tao body and cultivated the Yellow Spring Blood Sea, which allowed the various physical abilities to perfectly merge. At this time, the maturing of the Black Lotus True Body would definitely cause a new round of transformation of the various physical abilities. In the past few years, Su Fang's overall strength had also increased by a large margin. It was mainly because of the huge harvest in the Great Qin Immortal Realm. There were so many cultivation resources. With old monster Zhu Tian, an alchemy expert, in charge of the Alchemy Dao Hall, the alchemy skills of the entire Alchemy Dao Hall had improved by leaps and bounds. With the Blue Flame Golden Sun Cauldron, the supreme grade Yin Yang Immortal Sky Pills were continuously refined. With all kinds of resources, Yin Yang Immortal Sky Pills, the experts under Su Fang and the Big Goblin had improved rapidly. What comforted Su Fang was that the sky-piercing demon Venerable, the Undying Tortoise, the Wooling Goblin, and the other powerful big goblins who had ascended to the immortal realm with him from the small world had all become demon emperors. Of course, among the big goblins, Bai Ling, who had mastered the power of chaos, was the most powerful. Even the Green Feather Emperor could only be ranked behind her. However, it was not as if there was nothing that annoyed Su Fang. First, the Great Star Hall Chamber of Commerce had repeatedly lowered the prices of Su Fang's elixirs and Dao artifacts. They were incomparably overbearing. Su Fang had no choice but to let Wang Yuzhen establish her own sect. However, under the suppression of the Great Star Hall Chamber of Commerce, Wang Yuzhen's days were getting more and more difficult. There was another depressing matter. Fairy Xuanqin had entered the ice field of the Zhenlong realm to gain experience. It had been a long time since she had dual cultivated with Su Fang, which made Su Fang very depressed. Huang Lingyao visited him from time to time. However, Su Fang did not dare to take advantage of her and pretended to be polite with her. He also did not find a chance to attack Immortal Emperor Tianong. The main reason was that Immortal Emperor Tianong was seriously injured in the fight with Tranquility Emperor and did not dare to leave the Immortal Realm. Second Primordial Spirit secretly controlled many experts of the Long family and the White Sun sect, mainly those below the realm of Immortal Six Paths. Those with higher cultivation did not dare to attack. Experts with such cultivation were the giants of the Immortal Realm. Immortal Emperor Tianong and Situ Jia from the Heaven's Mandate Hao Tsang sect were not simple people. If they discovered any clues, it would be self-defeating. After returning to the Immortal Ao Great World, Su Fang also sent people to investigate the whereabouts of the young master of the Divine Palace, Gongyu. However, they could not find any trace of this mysterious young master. Perhaps he thought that Su Fang had already died and went to the boundless secular palace. Su Fang was worried about the origin of the purple cloud's Dharma spirit. He continued to send people to investigate. Deity, whoosh, a black Xianguang appeared. It was the second primordial spirit that had left the body of the immortal demon monster. The White Sun sect attacked the White Cloud Immortal Palace and returned with a crushing defeat. Even the sect master was seriously injured. The news brought by the second primordial spirit shocked Su Fangda. It turned out that the immortal realm of the immortal realm had been expanding and annexing many immortal realms. Long before Su Fang came to Monarch City, the immortal realm of the immortal realm had been secretly preparing to attack the White Cloud Immortal Palace. After Su Fang received the news from his subordinates in the immortal realm of the immortal realm, he sent people to inform the White Transformation Immortal Lord in advance. At the same time, he also sent Ghoul and some unexposed experts to the Lord of Five Poisons. The White Cloud Immortal Realm, where the White Cloud Immortal Palace was located, was the most powerful immortal realm in the Yuan Fortune Great World. When the Tranquility Emperor's mansion annexed the Yuan Fortune Great World, the White Cloud Immortal Palace suffered heavy losses. They had no choice but to withdraw from the Yuan Fortune Great World and enter the immortal realm of the Sky-Bearing Great World. Since the Sky-Bearing Great World had been annexed by the immortal realm of the Heavenly Tao, the White Sun sect naturally would not sit by and watch. They sent experts to attack the White Cloud Immortal Palace. The White Cloud Immortal Palace has become so powerful. Su Fang originally thought that even if the White Cloud Immortal Palace had made preparations in advance and had the help of Ghoul and his subordinates, the best result would be a stalemate with the White Sun sect. He did not expect them to be so powerful that the White Sun sect suffered a crushing defeat and even injured their sect master. It's all thanks to Li Haojia. According to the news, in the past few hundred years, Li Haojia followed an expert from the White Cloud Immortal Palace to a dangerous place to train. This time, he suddenly returned. Not only did his strength increase greatly, but he also controlled 1,000,000 big goblins. Among them was a powerful big goblin comparable to an immortal emperor. He caught the White Sun sect off guard and defeated them. 1,000,000 big goblin, Li Haojia, is indeed a tribulation taker and a demon catcher. Controlling 1,000,000 big goblins, what a terrifying scene that is. Su Fang was very shocked and excited. He could not wait to meet Li Haojia and the Lord of Five Poisons. After a long time, Su Fang said decisively, The reason why we can't find a chance to attack immortal Emperor Tianong is that we have not gained his trust. Why don't we go to the White Cloud Immortal Palace and subdue it on behalf of immortal Emperor Tianong? We can use this opportunity to lure immortal Emperor Tianong out of the immortal realm of the heavenly Tao. Whoosh, leaving 3 doppelgangers to cultivate in the True Dragon realm. Su Fong flew out of the True Dragon realm. He activated the life shrinking technique and found immortal Emperor Tianong's location. He passed through the array and came to a palace. It turned out that immortal Emperor Tianong had gathered the higher-ups of the heavenly Tao immortal realm to discuss continuing to attack the White Cloud Immortal Palace. Su Fong barged into the main hall. Immortal Emperor Tianong laughed heartily. Long time no see. I heard that young Master Tian is cultivating in seclusion. How come you have time to come here today? It's too boring to stay in the heavenly Tao immortal realm's king city. I've decided to go to other worlds, Su Fong said lightly. Immortal Emperor Tianong was shocked. Young Master Tian, you're leaving? Su Fong's eyes scanned the hall. So many people are gathered here. Is there something fun in the heavenly Tao immortal realm? Something fun? Everyone smiled bitterly. This young Master Tian from the Metal Sky was not only arrogant and domineering, he was also a playboy. Immortal Emperor Tianong did not hide anything. He slowly told Su Fong about the White Cloud Immortal Palace. Then, he tried to persuade Su Fong to stay. I've been busy with the White Cloud Immortal Palace. Please forgive me for not treating you well. Why don't you stay for a few more days? I'll personally accompany you on your tour of the heavenly Tao Immortal Realm. The White Cloud Immortal Palace? There's a demon catcher here? How interesting. Since I have nothing to do, I'll go to the White Cloud Immortal Palace and meet that demon catcher. If I can suppress him and take him as my subordinate, my trip to the heavenly Tao Immortal Realm will not be in vain, Su Fong said with a smile. Immortal Emperor Tianong raised his eyebrows. His eyes shone brightly. Is that so? I'll go to the White Cloud Immortal Palace now. Arrange for someone to lead the way. I promise that I'll hand over the White Cloud Immortal Palace to the Immortal Emperor in one piece. When the time comes, the Immortal Emperor can go and receive it personally. Su Fong's domineering voice echoed in the main hall. Then, he left in embarrassment. =R download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1355. The experts of the heavenly Tao Immortal Realm were also excited. As long as this powerful young Master Tian made a move, how could the White Cloud Immortal Palace not be destroyed? Furthermore, they could use this opportunity to tie him to the heavenly Tao Immortal Realm. With such a strong support, it would be easy to sweep through the Immortal Realm. Suddenly, Long Xiaojun said coldly, "How can you rely on an outsider to expand the heavenly Tao Immortal Realm's territory? I'm willing to go to the White Cloud Immortal Palace. Even without young Master Tian's help, we can still conquer the White Cloud Immortal Palace." After thinking for a while, Immortal Emperor Tianong nodded. Sky-bearing Great World. The army formed by the heavenly Tao Immortal Realm's cultivators broke through the starry fog. A material continent appeared in front of them. This used to be one of the immortal realms of the sky-bearing Great World. Although it was not big, the natural spiritual energy was abundant. It was now occupied by the White Cloud Immortal Palace. Lord of Five Poisons, Li Haojia, we're finally going to meet again. After this meeting, we brothers will stand at the peak of this immortal realm. Standing in the middle of the army, Su Fong looked down at the material continent, feeling excited. The densely packed White Cloud Immortal Palace's cultivators formed a formation in the void above the material continent, waiting solemnly. There were no less than 500,000 of them. The White Cloud Immortal Palace's strength was also quite shocking. The heavenly Tao Immortal Realm side was even more shocking. Apart from the hundreds of thousands of heavenly Tao Immortal Realm and sky-bearing Great World's cultivators who had besieged the White Cloud Immortal Palace, Immortal Emperor Tianong sent out another 300,000 soldiers. The total number was no less than 1 million. Young Master Tian watched the battle from the back. Watch how I take down the white cloud immortal palace, Long Xiaojun said domineeringly. Seeing Huang Lingyao, who was standing beside Su Fong, Long Xiaojun's eyes flashed with a cold light. Huang Lingyao had already fallen out with Long Xiaojun, and Long Xiaojun had been severely reprimanded by immortal Emperor Tianong for this. Seeing Huang Lingyao sticking to Su Fong, Long Xiaojun's hatred for Su Fong, especially for Huang Lingyao, turned into burning anger. Young Master Long has the help of the demon race. Naturally, he will win. This young master will wait for good news. Su Fong glanced at the black-robed old man behind Long Xiaojun. A cold smile appeared on his face under the mask, and his eyes seemed to be frozen. The black-robed old man behind Long Xiaojun was an expert of the evil Tao. He had a vast evil energy and a faint death energy. This was a resurrected ancient devil comparable to an immortal emperor. The heavenly Tao immortal realm was indeed not simple. Not only did it have the backing of the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect, but it also secretly colluded with the devil race. The resurrected ancient devil's eyes emitted a gray demonic light as it swept over Su Fong, revealing a look of fear and greed. Obviously, it was afraid of Su Fong's fire-attributed aura, and at the same time, it wanted to devour Su Fong's powerful body. A resurrected ancient devil dares to be so arrogant in front of me. Su Fong, you have a death wish. Su Fong laughed coldly in his heart. Long Xiaojun mobilized the army of the heavenly Tao immortal realm and charged toward the white cloud immortal palace. The resurrected ancient devil transformed into a ferocious heavenly devil. It emitted a monstrous evil energy and death energy, turning the surrounding thousands of miles into a domain of death. This caused the void to be filled with the aura of death and violence. The billowing evil energy kept devouring the lives of the cultivators of the White Cloud Immortal Palace. An immortal emperor of the White Cloud Immortal Palace charged out. He released a burst of energy and condensed a white cloud to resist the domain of the resurrected ancient devil. The heavenly Tao immortal realm took advantage of the situation to attack. Immortal Emperor he of the Long family and an immortal Emperor of the sky-bearing great world also charged toward the array of the White Cloud Immortal Palace. The army of the heavenly Tao immortal realm had an absolute advantage in terms of numbers. The number of experts also overwhelmed the White Cloud Immortal Palace. Soon, they tore a big hole in the array, and it was about to collapse. Suddenly, the resurrected ancient devil took out a scroll and unfolded it in the air. Waves of demonic smoke poured out and rolled in all directions. The demonic smoke contained a strong demonic poison that corroded the void and caused layers of ripples to appear. Giant gluttonous devils and devils with monstrous death energy and evil energy kept coming out of the scroll. They were all monsters that had died millions of years ago. The demonic smoke and the resurrected devils and gluttonous devils not only attacked the cultivators of the White Cloud Immortal Palace, but also some cultivators of the heavenly Tao Immortal Realm. This scroll was an ancient demonic artifact. Young Master Tian, it seems like you don't have to do anything this time. Long Xiaojun, who was watching the battle from behind, laughed loudly. 5 poison real body, poison domain space. A cold shout exploded from the array of the White Cloud Immortal Palace like thunder. Countless blood-venomous insects, horned scorpions, white toads, silver snakes, and spirit spiders gathered into a rolling black cloud and rushed toward the army of the heavenly Tao Immortal Realm. Some of these monsters spewed out poisonous gas, and some peeled off poisonous patterns from their bodies. They formed a vast and boundless poison domain that enveloped the army of the heavenly Tao Immortal Realm, as well as the resurrected devils and gluttonous devils. Sizzle. The cultivators of the heavenly Tao Immortal Realm were corroded by the poison. Some of the weaker cultivators' chi fields quickly collapsed, and their bodies fell off layer by layer. Some of the stronger cultivators released their chi fields or used their Taoist artifacts to resist the poison's corrosion. Only the cultivators of the Xian Immortal Realm and above were not affected much. However, these cultivators were the elites of the major forces. There were not many of them, so the attack was slowed down. The resurrected devils and gluttonous devils released from the scrolls and demonic artifacts were also full of demonic poison. In the poison domain space, they were even more miserable than the cultivators. Like snow under the scorching sun, they were corroded layer by layer, and their bodies flowed with stinky black liquid. The Lord of Five Poisons has also grown to such a powerful level. Seeing this, Su Fong was shocked and surprised. The one who attacked was the Lord of Five Poisons. At this time, his Five Poisons' real body had clearly improved. Among the five poisons in the poison domain space, there was also the devil-corroding poison, which had a fatal effect on the devils. Devil-corroding poison. How can there be such a poison in this immortal realm that can restrain the devils? The resurrected ancient devil let out a shocked and angry roar. At the same time, he shot a beam of demonic light towards the scroll above. Dense demonic smoke gushed out from the demonic tool, condensing into a huge desolate that was thousands of feet tall. Chiao Chi Xiong had a fetish for prostrating himself. Salt in the mouth. 3. The yellow turtle leech seeks help in distress. The immortal emperors of White Cloud Immortal Palace stepped forward to block the resurrected ancient devil. Exin choking Zi Sha Liang Tong Xing Bai Lan. Inen Sha Liang Tong Xing Bai Lan. Inen Sha Liang Tong Lang Lu. The yellow turtle leech seeks help in distress. Boom. It was a monster that was about the same height as a normal person and looked similar to the devil race. However, it emitted a terrifying aura and spat out a highly toxic poison. Immortal Emperor He, the sky-bearing great world's immortal emperor, and the desolation. So, this ghouls. Immortal Emperor He and the other immortal emperors from the sky-bearing great world had a drastic change in expression. Such a potent poison was a fatal threat to immortal emperors like them. They quickly retreated, not daring to touch a single strand of it. Revive Famine, Sajiro, Dantan, Long Che, Beijia, Huang Zhun Ti, Xiao, Tu Chumu, Defects, Simmering the Beans, Jin Shi, Huan, Chermio with Jin Shi, Zhuang, Jin Shi, Jimu Ji Lao Xian, Xiaiwu Jie, Miao Miao Ji Huan, Feng Mudong Ji Huan, Roar, 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 Roar. Another earth-shattering roar. Countless big goblin, shrouded in a blood-red radiance, emitted a monstrous demonic aura that shook the heavens. They formed an army and charged out of the White Cloud Immortal Palace's array. The Heavenly Law Immortal Palace's army was instantly defeated and retreated thousands of miles away. Only with the help of the resurrected ancient devil and the two immortal emperors' all-out defense did they manage to stop the big goblin army's charge. A black-clothed young man flew out of the White Cloud Immortal Palace's array and stood beside the Lord of Five Poisons. Li Hao Jie, Long Xiao Jun, who had thought that victory was within his grasp, was shocked. Then, he flew into a rage out of humiliation and had to swallow his anger. He cupped his fists and said to Su Fong, "The White Cloud Immortal Palace is relying on the cultivator who can use the poisonous space, the demon catcher, and a monster that came out of nowhere to contend with the Heavenly Law Immortal Palace. Heavenly Young Master, please send your experts to kill all of them." Huang Lingyao had some impression of the Lord of Five Poisons and Li Hao Jie. She was also suspicious of the ghouls. Her eyes were full of doubts as she thought, is Su Fong secretly supporting the White Cloud Immortal Palace? Huang Lingyao felt a little uneasy. I thought the young master of the Long family could take down the White Cloud Immortal Palace in one fell swoop. Su Fong sneered coldly. Long Xiaojuan's face turned pale. Swoosh! Swoosh! The three immortal emperors were released from the Jinlong realm by Su Fong. They were Duga Mujian, Old Monster Zhu Tian, and Perfected Peng Hua. Su Fong didn't release the immortal fiend monster because it had devoured a large amount of resources and natural treasures from the Great Qin immortal realm. Its physical body had recovered a bit, and its appearance was becoming more and more similar to Su Fong's true body. If he released it, it would definitely arouse the suspicions of Huang Lingyao and Long Xiaojun. Kill! Dugamujian gathered a sword intent in his right hand and slashed in the air. A fierce and vast sword chi burst out as if it could cut the sky. In an instant, none of the millions of cultivators present had the illusion that they had been cut in half by Dugamujian's sword. They were all trembling. The strength of a peerless sword cultivator was terrifying. Whoosh! The sword aura formed by the fierce sword intent swept through the body of the resurrected ancient fiend. The resurrected ancient fiend only had time to let out a surprised and terrified scream before its body was turned into a bloody mist by the sword aura. Even its primordial spirit was incinerated by the sword intent. The sword aura didn't disappear. Like a river of sword intent, it swept the giant desolation again. Base. Whoosh. Whoosh. Giant desolation. Blowing Na Bun, spreading Huang Tsanggrass, planting yearning for our nunnery, provoking Pu Zhen almost at the same time. Reverend Peng Hua activates a water-type flying sword, which bursts out a terrifying divine might like a flood, releasing those devils, gobbling devils, and surging devil smoke from the magic scrolls, then suddenly bursts out with a strange burning and boiling momentum, exploding with a boom. The resurrected devil race and gluttonous fiend exploded and their bodies collapsed. The billowing demonic smoke was also incinerated by the burning water-type sword intent. Su Fang's two subordinates unleashed earth-shattering supernatural powers, which instantly intimidated everyone. For a moment, the huge battlefield, which was filled with millions of people, was completely silent. Everyone was trembling with fear. Young Master Tian, what is the meaning of this? Long Xiaojun shouted coldly and questioned Su Fang. The experts of the heavenly Tao, immortal world, and the sky-bearing great world also looked at Su Fang in shock. This young master doesn't like the devil race and can't tolerate the devil race being arrogant in front of this young master. It's that simple, Su Fang said indifferently, but there was an incomparable domineering aura that soared into the sky. =_ download address. Mobile reading, bibliography. Chapter 1356. This young master doesn't like the devil clan, was like the voice of the heavenly Tao Bi. Then, there was a resurrected ancient devil comparable to the devil emperor, and desolation with the strength of an immortal emperor. PP. Centipede PPP. Silkworm, trailing Chong Tang. What a domineering and powerful young Master Tian. Long Xiaojun almost spat out a mouthful of blood, but in front of such a powerful young Master Tian, he did not dare to say a word. A strong sense of reverence uncontrollably rose from the hearts of many cultivators. Many cultivators, especially the higher-ups of the heavenly Tao immortal realm, cheered for young Master Tian in their hearts. The righteous Tao and the devil Tao had always been irreconcilable. The hatred between them had been passed down from ancient times until now. In recent years, the devil clan had become more rampant and active. Countless cultivators, especially female cultivators, had mysteriously disappeared. Many cultivation forces had also disappeared overnight. Naturally, they had all fallen into the hands of the devil clan. Immortal Emperor Tian Ong had secretly colluded with the devil clan. This time, Long Xiaojun had directly let a resurrected ancient devil appear in public. Even some of the higher-ups of the heavenly Tao immortal realm were very dissatisfied, but who dared to say a word? Now that young Master Tian had made a move and killed a resurrected ancient devil, these people were very happy and admired young Master Tian very much. At this time, Dugamujian also coldly said, "Kill every devil you see." Immortal Peng Hua said indifferently, "The devil clan should all die." Of these two immortal emperors, one's beloved wife had been used as a fetus by the devil clan to breed offspring, and the other one had almost become the nourishment for the growth of the young devil clan. When they saw the devil clan, they were full of killing intent. Even the way they looked at Long Xiaojun became fierce. Watch how this young master subjugates the White Cloud Immortal Palace. Su Fong let out a relaxed laugh and flew towards the White Cloud's immortal palace alone. Under the gaze of everyone, Su Fong stopped above the White Cloud Immortal Palace's array. He stood with his hands behind his back and asked domineeringly, "This young master is here. White Cloud Immortal Palace still refuses to submit." There was a moment of silence. The immortal emperor from the White Cloud Immortal Palace was a middle-aged man with white eyebrows. He was the palace master of the White Cloud Immortal Palace. He cupped his fists at Su Fong and said, "I have heard of young Master Tian's fame. However, if young Master Tian wants the White Cloud Immortal Palace to submit to the heavenly law immortal realm, the White Cloud Immortal Palace will never obey." Su Fong's voice suddenly turned cold as he said, "What? Is White Cloud Immortal Palace not afraid that I'll wipe you out from this immortal realm? Or does the White Cloud Immortal Palace think that I don't have such strength?" The palace master of the White Cloud Immortal Palace shouted, "The White Cloud Immortal Palace would rather die than submit to the heavenly law immortal realm. However, the White Cloud Immortal Palace is willing to submit to young Master Tian." Whoosh! The people from the heavenly law immortal realm and White Cloud Immortal Palace burst into an uproar. The uproar spread across the void like a tide. Su Fong raised his eyebrows and asked, "Why would I want the White Cloud Immortal Palace? If you are not willing, then White Cloud Immortal Palace will fight to the death with the Heavenly Tao Immortal Palace." The palace master of White Cloud Immortal Palace said firmly. He would rather die than submit. Su Fong was hesitant. At this moment, Li Haoran suddenly said, "What is the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm? What makes you think you are qualified to make me submit? I'm also willing to submit to you, young master. Please take me in." "I am also willing to submit to you, young master," the Lord of Five Poisons also said decisively. However, he secretly sent a voice transmission to Su Fong through his vital spirit. "You brat, you really showed off today. White Cloud Immortal Palace, please take us in." A young man in black among the higher-ups of White Cloud Immortal Palace shouted loudly. He was the Bai Hua Immortal Master. "We are willing to submit to you, young Master Tian. Please take us in." Hundreds of thousands of cultivators from White Cloud Immortal Palace said in unison. Their voices shook the sky. Everyone from the heavenly law, immortal realm, was stunned. However, after careful consideration, White Cloud Immortal Palace submitting to young Master Tian was undoubtedly the best choice. Not only would they save their lives, but they would also join a peerless force. This was the best of both worlds. If the cultivators from the heavenly law immortal realm were in this situation, they would also make the same choice without hesitation. Su Fong hesitated for a while. In the end, he sighed helplessly and said, "If that is the case, I will reluctantly take you in." Swoosh, 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 swoosh. All the cultivators from White Cloud Immortal Palace gave up resisting. Su Fong activated the power of the True Dragon Realm Dharma Treasure and took them into the True Dragon Realm in batches. In a short while, the mighty army of White Cloud Immortal Palace was all gone. Everyone was shocked again. It was not that the higher-ups of the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm did not have a doctrine artifact that could accommodate hundreds of thousands of cultivators. However, the space of the doctrine artifact was isolated from the world. Cultivators could not cultivate in it. They could only stay for a short period of time. Unless they inserted a spirit vein into the space of the doctrine artifact, or used elixirs and other resources, they could live and cultivate in it for a long time. When young Master Tian appeared, he was alone. All the masters under him were in the doctrine artifact. If there were only a few masters, it would not be strange. But now he had taken in 500,000 cultivators from White Cloud Immortal Palace. How was he going to feed them? Looking at his nonchalant appearance, this big problem was clearly not a problem for him. _R. This mysterious and powerful young Master Tian not only had powerful masters under his command, but also had a peerless Dharma treasure, which shocked everyone. "Young Master Tian, you're going too far," Long Xiaojun shouted angrily. The Heavenly Law Immortal Realm had spent so much effort and was about to annex White Cloud Immortal Palace. But now, it had all fallen into the hands of others. Who could swallow this anger? What? Young Master Long, do you want to teach me a lesson? Su Fong said coldly. Swoosh, swoosh. Duga Mujian, immortal Peng Hua, and old monster Zhu Tian stared at Long Xiaojun fiercely. Long Xiaojun broke out in a cold sweat. The fear of death enveloped him. Immortal Emperor He of the Long family quickly said, Young Master Tian, you have conquered White Cloud Immortal Palace and eliminated a powerful enemy for the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm. The Heavenly Law Immortal Realm is very grateful. Why would we blame you? Long Xiaojun is young and ignorant. Young Master Tian, please don't lower yourself to his level. If you are unhappy, ask Immortal Emperor Tianong to talk to me. If anyone else dares to be presumptuous in front of me, don't blame me for not showing mercy. After a pause, Su Fong's tone softened. I am not an unreasonable person. I have more or less let down the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm by conquering White Cloud Immortal Palace. Go back and tell Immortal Emperor Tianong that I am willing to help him take back the constellation of 9 heavens from Emperor Ning's mansion and hand it over to the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm. Consider it my compensation to the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm. Immortal Emperor He and the masters of the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm were all overjoyed. Although the constellation of 9 heavens had been destroyed, the Sex Foundation was still there. Moreover, the Celestial Palace was located between the Yuan Lu Great World and the Xian Ao Great World. It was an independent relic in space-time and was a key place. The constellation of 9 heavens was much more important than White Cloud Immortal Palace, which had lost its sect. More importantly, young Master Tian's actions were tantamount to declaring war on Emperor Ning's mansion. How could they not be happy? Su Fong continued, if I make a move, it will be easy to take back the constellation of 9 heavens. However, Emperor Ning will definitely not let it go. He will definitely rush to the Celestial Palace. By then, I will no longer have the responsibility of guarding the territory of the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm. Immortal Emperor, he said happily, when you take back the constellation of 9 heavens, Emperor Ning will definitely personally lead the experts of the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm to the Celestial Palace. At that time, I will ask for your help. I will rush to the constellation of 9 heavens now. You should also send a message to Immortal Emperor Tian Ong. Tell him to be ready to take over the Celestial Palace. Su Fong said lightly. Then, he led the 3 Immortal Emperor experts and traveled through the void. Heavenly Law Immortal Realms King City. When Immortal Emperor Tian Ong received the message, he could not help but laugh out loud. Good. Compared with the constellation of 9 heavens, those remnants of the White Cloud Immortal Palace are nothing. I will fight Emperor Ning to the death in the constellation of 9 heavens. Situ Jie was also present. He said gloomily, Young Master Tian, this person is arrogant and domineering. He killed a resurrected demon emperor. The demon race will definitely not let this matter rest. Be careful. This person will bring you trouble. The world changed, and the demon clan came back. They're extremely powerful. Even the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang's sect had to be patient. You should not offend the demon clan because of an unknown young Master Tian. When the demon clan was mentioned, Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's expression became serious. Thank you for your reminder, Lord Situ. I will use young Master Tian to deal with Emperor Ning first. The demon clan will give them an explanation. Immortal Emperor Qi Yin, the leader of the demon clan in this immortal realm, has disappeared. The demon clan has no leader now. They will not have time to deal with me for the time being. At worst, I will give them some benefits. I will give them all the small sects and families in the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm. Now is not the time to lose. I will take the constellation of 9 heavens first. Situ Jie continued, Young Master Tian, I'm always worried about you. Lord of Heaven Xian Shu will come to this immortal realm from the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect soon. Why don't you wait for Lord of Heaven Xian Shu's arrival before fighting with Emperor Ning's mansion? Lord of Heaven Xian Shu is at the peak of the immortal Emperor realm. Emperor Ning is nothing to him. Immortal Emperor Tianong was silent for a while. Then, he said decisively, "How can I trouble Lord of Heaven Xian Shu to deal with such a small matter? I will deal with it myself. I don't need to trouble you." Situ Jie did not say anything. He knew what immortal Emperor Tianong was thinking. Although Long Tianong was from the heavenly mandate Hao Song sect, his status was low. After coming to this immortal realm, it took him millions of years to become a powerful realm lord. At this time, because of the changes in heaven and earth, the catastrophe had come to some immortal realms. Sooner or later, it would affect the whole immortal realm. Only then did the heavenly mandate Hao Song sect remember immortal Emperor Tianong in this immortal realm. They tried to take back all of Long Tianong's forces. Even if immortal Emperor Tianong had to give up his forces, he had to think for himself. He hoped to get a good position in the heavenly mandate Hao Song sect in the future. At this time, if he relied too much on the heavenly mandate Hao Song sect, he, as the realm lord of the heavenly law immortal realm, would become insignificant. Therefore, he was eager to expand his forces. At the same time, he did not want to rely on the forces of other sections. In the true dragon realm, seeing Su Fang's overall strength, not only the Lord of Five Poisons, Li Haoran, Bai Hua Immortal Master, but everyone in the White Cloud Immortal Palace was shocked. It turned out that Su Fang had secretly sent people to contact the White Cloud Immortal Palace. That was why the Palace Lord of the White Cloud Immortal Palace cooperated with Su Fang and put on such a good show in front of the people of the Heavenly Law Immortal Realm. At this time, they understood that Su Fang's strength was more than double that of the White Cloud Immortal Palace. The White Cloud Immortal Palace had a slight advantage in terms of numbers. In terms of experts, the White Cloud Immortal Palace, which had a foundation of millions of years, was inferior to Su Fang. Moreover, the people of the White Cloud Immortal Palace were like stray dogs. They did not even have a place to stay. This was even more incomparable to Su Fang, who had a peerless spatial Dharma treasure like the true dragon realm. The Palace Lord of the White Cloud Immortal Palace had the intention to join Su Fang. However, when she thought of the White Cloud Immortal Palace's millions of years of heritage, she hesitated. She settled the White Cloud Immortal Palace in a mountain range in the true dragon realm that was rich in spirit chi. Su Fang, the Lord of Five Poisons, Li Haoran, the Green Feather Emperor, Bai Ling, and other big goblin from the mortal world gathered in Su Fang's Taoist temple. Everyone, next it's time for us to join forces and sweep across this immortal realm. Start with the constellation of 9 heavens, seize the Star Palace, and use it as bait to lure Tianong Immortal Emperor and Tranquility Emperor. Download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1357. The constellation of 9 heavens. It was a powerful force in the past, but it had already become history. After its destruction, the constellation of 9 heavens was divided between the residents of Emperor Ning and the Yen Sun Shin. With the mysterious disappearance of the Yen Sun Shin, the Huyen Shinrikyo followed in the footsteps of the constellation of 9 heavens. Now, the constellation of 9 heavens had become the territory of the residents of Emperor Ning. Whoosh! A cultivator with a sallow face appeared above the material continent of the constellation of 9 heavens. Looking down at the constellation of 9 heavens, the cultivator's eyes were filled with memories. He was Su Fang, who had come from the sky-bearing world and changed his appearance with the power of his physical body. "Come out, Emperor Ning." The domineering voice penetrated the enchantment and shook all the dojos in the constellation of 9 heavens. "How dare you? Who are you? How dare you come to the Star Palace? This guy must be tired of living. How dare he provoke the residents of Emperor Ning as a mid-stage realm immortal? Why are you talking so much? Kill him." Angry shouts were heard as hundreds of cultivators flew over. The cultivators of the residents of Emperor Ning had always been arrogant and domineering. In recent years, the residents of Emperor Ning had been expanding, which made them even more domineering. Now that someone had come to their door and scolded the supreme Emperor Ning, the cultivators of the residents of Emperor Ning were all furious. Without saying a word, they rushed towards Su Fang. Although these cultivators of the residence of Emperor Ning were not top experts, they were all extraordinary. One of them was a realm immortal 7 Dao realm immortal emperor, while the others were at least in the Xian immortal realm. Together, they released their aura, which gathered into a huge wave and rushed towards Su Fang. Boom! A burst of fire elemental divine power exploded from Su Fang's body. Combined with the ethereal enlightenment, the surrounding void turned into a sea of fire. The true fire of 9 suns was so overbearing that it instantly burned and shattered the chi of the cultivators of Emperor Tranquility's mansion. Except for the Celestial Emperor, the other cultivators' chi fields were burned, and their bodies were burned by the divine power of fire, giving off black smoke. Su Fang took a step forward and activated the fire cloud step. A trail of fire appeared under his feet, and he instantly arrived in front of the immortal Emperor expert. His right palm turned into a burning fire cloud, and he struck out. The fiery light of the dispersing illusory fire cloud had the ability to affect the primordial spirit and consciousness of the immortal Emperor of Tranquility Prince's mansion. His eyes blurred for a moment, and he fell into a state of absent-mindedness. In a battle between experts, the slightest carelessness could affect one's life and death. The immortal Emperor of Tranquility Emperor Mansion was hit in the chest by Su Fang's palm. The 9 suns' immortal fire started to burn on this person's body. Soon, he turned into a pile of charcoal and fell down. Who are you? How dare you come to the Star Palace? Do you really think that there is no one in the mansion of Emperor Ning? A majestic voice suddenly came from the Star Palace. Before the voice had died away, a lofty figure appeared in the void outside the Star Palace with an unparalleled, domineering aura. The Overlord's doppelganger of Tranquility Emperor. Su Fang's eyes were filled with killing intent as he glanced at the newcomer. The man was dressed in white, with a peerless momentum and a vast aura. His appearance was very similar to that of Tranquility Emperor. The immortal devil monster had cut off one of his arms, but now it had recovered. With Tranquility Emperor's strength, it was not difficult for him to recover the Overlord's doppelganger. Besides, this Overlord's doppelganger had the desolation chi of the Star Palace in addition to the aura of the Overlord's doppelganger. Obviously, the Overlord's doppelganger had merged with the power of the world of the constellation of 9 heavens. It turns out that you're a doppelganger of Tranquility Emperor. Then I won't keep you company. Su Fang turned around and left. He flapped his fire cloud wings and pierced through the star fog toward the depths of the drifting star sand. You want to leave after killing people of Tranquility Emperor's mansion. Tranquility Emperor's doppelganger sneered and chased after him without hesitation. In an instant, Su Fang pierced through thousands of miles of void. Tranquility Emperor's doppelganger was faster. He caught up with Su Fang in an instant. A gust of momentum covered all directions, and the surrounding star sand froze instantly. Su Fang's speed suddenly slowed down. Who are you? Who sent you to provoke the Star Palace? Overlord's doppelganger said in a majestic voice, as if he was the supreme ruler of this world. You will know who I am later. As for the so-called provocation, I am here to provoke Emperor Tranquility Emperor's mansion. I am here to kill your doppelganger and seize the Star Palace. Su Fang said coldly. Kill me? Seize the Star Palace? Ha ha. This is the funniest joke I have heard in millions of years. No matter who you are or what kind of divine sense you have, you are not allowed to behave atrociously in front of me. Tranquility Emperor and Overlord laughed wildly. Overlord's fist, boundless divine power. Then he threw out a punch. It was as if all the power in the space was controlled by him and condensed in his fist. The golden light shone, and he threw a punch at Su Fang with an overbearing momentum. Original life form. Xianwang's 6 Paths Pagoda flew out of the heavenly Dipper creation cauldron and merged with Su Fang's body quickly. Then the experts and Big Goblin injected their genuine chi and demon aura into Xianwang's 6 Paths Pagoda and transferred it to Su Fang. Xianwang's 6 Paths Pagoda was only one step away from being a supreme grade doctrine instrument. Su Fang's experts in Big Goblin were extremely powerful. At this moment, Su Fang activated his original life form. Not only did he complete it in an instant, but his power was also more than 100 times stronger than before. Rumble. Two equally powerful and overbearing forces collided and caused a big explosion. The void in all directions shook, and a shock wave swept away the star sand and star fog within a radius of more than a dozen miles. They both retreated hundreds of feet away. They were evenly matched in this confrontation. Tranquility Emperor and Overlord's doppelganger were completely shocked. What was his realm, and what was his opponent's realm? They were almost one big realm apart, but they ended up in a tie. How could Tranquility Emperor and Overlord's doppelganger not be shocked? A stream of divine power of the world with supreme, overbearing power suddenly burst out from Tranquility Emperor's doppelganger and formed an amazing shackle force that bound Su Fang. They were more than 1,000 miles away from the Star Palace. Overlord's doppelganger's strength had reached the immortal Emperor level. When he activated the divine power of the Overlord and the ethereal way of all arts, he could still control the power of the world of the Star Palace. Thus, he was like the absolute dominator in this domain. Even immortal Emperor Tian Ong was suppressed by the divine power of the world and could not exert his full strength. Ethereal enlightenment? Su Fang sneered disdainfully. The ethereal enlightenment was the constellation of 9 heavens that he had handed in years ago. When Tranquility Emperor's mansion destroyed the Star Palace, they naturally got the ethereal enlightenment. However, Su Fang had only handed in the ethereal way of all arts. No matter how amazing Tranquility Emperor and Overlord's doppelganger's cultivation ability was, how could they compare with Su Fang? Moreover, Su Fang had mastered more than just the ethereal way of all arts. He activated the power of the seed of the world and cooperated with the 2 divine powers of the ethereal enlightenment. The shackles of the divine power of the world around him were shattered. Ethereal enlightenment? How can you also know the ethereal enlightenment? Are you a remnant of the Star Palace? Tranquility Emperor and Overlord's doppelganger cried out in surprise. A little bit, but I'm still wrong. Su Fang said with a relaxed smile. It seems that I have to show you part of my strength. I am the Overlord. With a word from the Overlord, everything will submit. If I want you to be destroyed, you'll be destroyed. Overlord's mantra. The Overlord's doppelganger formed a seal and sent out a purple gold palm shadow with a terrifying power that could shatter everything. It was as if heaven and earth would submit to this supreme dominance. His voice also contained the Overlord's will that was above the heavenly way. Every word he said would become reality. Overlord's mantra. I am the Overlord. My will surpasses the heavens. The heavens cannot suppress me. Su Fang suddenly sent out a purple gold palm print that was almost the same as the Overlord's. However, the aura was slightly different. It contained the Supreme Emperor's luck that was fused with the purple cloud Dharma spirit and the Overlord's heaven-soaring technique. At the same time, it also had the ethereal aura of destiny from the life shrinking technique. If the heavens suppress me, I will defy the heavens. Bang! The 2 palm prints collided. The Overlord's doppelganger's palm print was immediately shattered. However, the palm print formed by Su Fang's mantra crushed the Overlord's doppelganger's body. The Overlord's will of the Overlord's doppelganger also collapsed instantly. Instead, it was suppressed by Su Fang's supreme aura. Puff! The Overlord's mantra of the Overlord of the Tranquility Emperor's doppelganger was broken and suppressed. He immediately suffered a backlash, as if he had failed to surpass the heavens and was suppressed by the way of heaven. He immediately spat out a mouthful of blood, and his aura became much weaker. How? How could you know the Overlord's mantra of the Overlord of the Tranquility Emperor's mansion? How could you suppress my divine power? The Overlord's doppelganger's face was full of disbelief. The unique divine sense of the Tranquility Emperor's mansion was used by the Overlord's doppelganger. Except for the Tranquility Emperor himself, no one could use it to such an extent. Now, the Overlord's doppelganger was countered by the same divine sense. It was imaginable how shocked he was. I am the Overlord. My will surpasses the heavens. The Overlord's doppelganger's body crackled and instantly turned into a giant with a height of more than 30 meters. All of a sudden, his aura suddenly soared. There was a kind of divine power that looked down upon the heavens. The Emperor's chi erupted like a volcano. Together with the power of the world of the constellation of 9 heavens, it formed the divine power of the domain. The Overlord's doppelganger replaced the way of heaven and dominated the space. As the majestic voice faded away, a shadow of the Star Palace appeared. The doppelganger of the Tranquility Emperor burned the Emperor's chi and operated the tyrannical Emperor's skyscraping technique to the extreme. Together with the control of the Star Palace, it formed the divine power of shackles and the divine power of faith. The doppelganger's momentum soared to the sky. The doppelganger's divine power spread in all directions. The doppelganger controlled the natural law of the universe and the life and death of all living things in the universe. What an overbearing tyrannical emperor's skyscraping technique. Kneel down. A cold and dignified shout was like the divine power. The shadow of the Star Palace suddenly oppressed Su Fong. The thunder of fate. He operated the divine life-shortening technique. The Tao character turned into a silent thunder of fate. Swish, swish, swish. The shadow of the Star Palace was incinerated quickly. The Overlord's doppelganger's divine power was also burned up layer by layer. The familiar scene reminded the Tranquility Emperor of the things that happened in the Star Palace. He exclaimed, You are the evil cultivator who sneaked into the Star Palace that time. You just remember it now? But it's too late. Last time, your arm brought me a lot of benefits. This time, I want not only your arm, but also your entire body in the Star Palace. Not only that, in the near future, your original body will also be mine. Su Fong made a clanging sound. You think you can kill me with just you? Where are the experts of the demon tribe and the gorilla demon? Let them come out. Before he finished his words, the divine light in the doppelganger's eyes suddenly changed. Swish, 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 swish. Duga Mujian, old monster Zhu Tian, immortal Peng Hua, and the monsters of immortals and demons appeared and surrounded the Overlord's doppelganger. The Overlord's doppelganger fell into despair. I lured you out of the Star Palace because I didn't want to alert the enemy and scare your original body away. In front of me, you were just an ant. What right do you have to be arrogant? Su Fong looked at the Overlord's doppelganger with disdain. Who are you? Why do you keep going against the Emperor Ning's mansion? As far as I can remember, I have never offended such an expert like you. I'm Su Fong, Your Excellency Tranquility Emperor. Do you still remember me? Su Fong's facial muscles wriggled and showed his real face. =R download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1358. You are Su Fong. Ning Emperor's clone's face was full of shock and disbelief. Tablet ebook. Su Fong. Ning Emperor had heard this name many times. Tranquility Emperor had seen this face many times. However, it was the first time for him to see Su Fong's real face. What kind of person was Ning Emperor, who was famous in the immortal area? In his mind, Su Fong was just an ant. Any expert from Emperor Ning's mansion could kill him easily. Unexpectedly, really unexpectedly, the ant in his mind had grown to such a horrible level in just a few hundred years. With such a powerful strength, it was easy for him to kill Ning Emperor's clone and even kill Ning Emperor's original body. My original body is in danger. The Tyrant Emperor's avatar suddenly realized something, and his heart skipped a beat. Su Fong's motive for luring him out of Star Palace was not as simple as killing his Tyrant Emperor's avatar. Otherwise, with so many experts around, any one of them would have had the ability to kill him. Obviously, Su Fong wanted to use him as a whetstone to sharpen his combat ability. On the other hand, Su Fong did not want to expose his strength. His purpose was to continue luring Ning Emperor's original body to the Star Palace, and then kill him. In Emperor Ning's mansion, even the experts at the peak of the immortal Emperor realm, who were several levels higher than Ning Emperor's original body, could not kill him easily. Only by luring Ning Emperor's mansion could he have a chance. Knowing Su Fong's intention, Ning Emperor's clone took a deep breath. Without hesitation, he urged the restrictive spell to communicate with Ning Emperor's mansion and warn him. Kill! The monster roared with killing intent. First, it released the power of primordial spirit to attack Ning Emperor's clone's divine aperture ocean. Then, it burst out a chi power of immortal and devil, forming a realm shackle. At this time, the monster was much more powerful than last time in the Star Palace. When primordial spirit and realm shackle burst out at the same time, Ning Emperor's divine aperture ocean was severely impacted and his body was shackled. Boom, boom, boom. Old monster Zhu Tian and perfected being Peng Hua struck out at the same time, sealing their bodies in golden cores. The second primordial spirit also flew out of the body of the immortal and devil monster that was residing in it. Tyrannically and overbearingly, it broke through the defense of the tyrannical emperor's divine aperture and devoured its consciousness. Tranquility Emperor's incarnation of Overlord fell into the control of Su Fong. Looking at the Overlord's clone, Su Fong was very excited. If he could devour this clone and fuse it with his cultivation and chi of Monarch, Su Fong's cultivation would definitely rise to another level. The Yellow Spring Blood Sea would also undergo another transformation. Of course, the Tyrannical Emperor's Heaven technique was the most helpful. The Tyrannical Emperor's doppelganger was originally prepared for Tranquility Emperor to cultivate the Tyrannical Emperor's Heaven technique. After devouring Tranquility Emperor's chi of Monarch, Su Fong's physique of Monarch would be improved to a whole new level. He would have the supreme fate of Monarch. With the help of the power of the world, the ethereal truth, and the ability to control the immortal realm, he would be greatly improved. The most important purpose of killing the Tyrannical Emperor's doppelganger was not these. Su Fong's purpose was to draw Tranquility Emperor here and let him and immortal Emperor Tianong fight each other to the death. Then, he could take the opportunity to kill the two peerless immortal emperors and sweep across the immortal realm. Enter the Star Palace first, and then carry out the next step of the plan. After putting the immortal and devil monster and the three immortal emperors into the Jinlong world, Su Fong went straight to the Star Palace alone. For the time being, he could not expose his full strength. Otherwise, Tranquility Emperor would be too scared to come here. If that happened, all his plans would be ruined. Swish! Su Fong, who had changed his appearance with the power of his body, appeared in the void above the Star Palace. It's the cultivator who provoked him just now. Where is Tranquility Emperor's doppelganger? Where is he? Has Tranquility Emperor's doppelganger been killed? Impossible. How powerful is Tranquility Emperor's doppelganger? A cultivator in the world, immortal realm, couldn't even hurt his head. The cultivators of Tranquility Emperor's mansion rose to the sky one after another. Soon, more than 100,000 people had gathered there. However, they all looked at Su Fong in surprise and doubt and did not dare to step forward. Tranquility Emperor's doppelganger has been killed. Are you going to report the death of Tranquility Emperor himself? Su Fong laughed wildly and rushed directly to the Taoist field of the Star Palace. Only then did the cultivators of Tranquility Emperor's mansion come to themselves. They roared angrily and launched attacks like waves. Get out of my way! Highly toxic rune talismans were thrown out from Su Fong's hands one after another, as if they were free leaves. Boom! 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 The highly toxic runes exploded. Poisonous gas and blood rolled out like a sea of clouds, sweeping in all directions. These highly toxic runes were created by ghouls and were extremely poisonous. Even immortal emperors would be in trouble if they touched them. Not to mention the cultivators of Tranquility Emperor's mansion, who were only immortal emperors. The cultivators of Tranquility Emperor's mansion, who were corroded by the poison, fell down like dumplings and were immediately defeated. Su Fong took the opportunity to rush out of the encirclement and landed on a mountain peak of the Star Palace. Then, he used the Demon Sealing Emperor's Heaven Seal to release the power of the dissociation formation, breaking layers of formations along the way. Under the guidance of Heaven Master Luan and other senior leaders of the Star Palace, he came to the depths of the constellation of 9 heavens, where there was an almost frozen and desolate underground palace. Meteor fragments were floating here, glittering with the brilliance of stars. This was the place where the leader of the Star Palace used to cultivate. It was also the place where the world origin of the Star Palace was located. The Star Palace was a relic, which was refined into a Taoist field by supreme magic. Inside it, there was an amazing world origin. The whole Taoist field had a void passage with the heaven and earth, which allowed the power of the world from the depths of the void to come to the Taoist field. Previously, Tranquility Emperor's doppelganger of the Overlord was in charge of the Star Palace. He used the Overlord's heaven-soaring technique and the ethereal truth to merge with the world origin of the Star Palace. Therefore, he controlled the Taoist field of the Star Palace. Now that the doppelganger of the Overlord had been subdued, Su Fong was going to merge with the world origin of the Star Palace and become the real master of the Star Palace. Only by controlling the power of the world origin of the Star Palace could he have the confidence to kill Tranquility Emperor and Immortal Emperor Tian'an. There were more than 100 cultivators of Tranquility Emperor's mansion guarding the Star Palace. Su Fong could kill all of them without any effort. The reason why Su Fong didn't do that and enter the underground palace was that he wanted to use himself as a bait to lure Tranquility Emperor and Immortal Emperor Tian'an here. At this time, sound of the air breaking came from outside the underground palace. Innumerable experts of Tranquility Emperor's mansion were swarming here. He activated the power of the World Seed and the ethereal myriad arts Tao to communicate with the world origin of the Star Palace. Then, he activated the demon-sealing Emperor's Heaven Seal to create layers of bounded boundaries that were connected with the world origin of the Star Palace. Boom! Boom! The cultivators of Tranquility Emperor's mansion, who were blocked outside, started to attack the bounded boundaries of the underground palace crazily. Even if Tranquility Emperor himself came here, it would take him a lot of effort to open it. Do you think you can break the bounded boundaries I created? Su Fong said disdainfully. It was because the doppelganger of Tranquility Emperor and Overlord was still alive that Su Fong couldn't merge with the world origin of the Star Palace in a short time. If he merged with the world origin and created a formation with the help of the world origin, even if Tranquility Emperor himself came here, he wouldn't be able to break it unless he destroyed the whole Star Palace. After doing all this, Su Fong ignored the cultivators of Tranquility Emperor's mansion and made a Taoist gesture. A shadow of primordial spirit condensed from his Xianguang. It was a lifelike figure of Immortal Emperor Tian'an. It turned out that Su Fong wanted to use the primordial spirit of Immortal Emperor Tian'an and use the supreme primordial spirit to get it from Immortal Emperor Tian'an. When Immortal Emperor Tian'an left the Heaven Law Immortal World, he left his primordial spirit to Su Fong so that they could contact each other easily. However, with Su Fong's cultivation, it would consume a lot of his primordial spirit, so he wouldn't use it easily. Young Master Tian, are you inside the Star Palace? Immortal Emperor Tian'an was surprised. Su Fong said lightly, Yes, I've killed the doppelganger of Tranquility Emperor and Overlord. Tranquility Emperor himself and the elites of Tranquility Emperor's mansion will arrive in a few days. When Immortal Emperor comes to the Star Palace, I'll fulfill my promise and hand over the Star Palace to the Heaven Law Immortal World. Good. Young Master Tian, you're really powerful. You can kill Tranquility Emperor's doppelganger in such a short time. I'll lead all the elites of the Heaven Law Immortal World to the Star Palace right away. I'm not only going to take over the Star Palace, but also to kill Tranquility Emperor himself and end the 100,000 years of resentment between him and me. I hope young Master Tian can help me at that time. Of course. Immortal Emperor, you've treated me with great hospitality when I came to the Immortal AO Macro world this time. I don't have anything to repay you, so I'll repay you with the Star Palace and Tranquility Emperor's head. Thank you, young Master Tian. Su Fong put his palms together, and the primordial spirit of Immortal Emperor Tian'an, which was transformed by Xianguang, suddenly disappeared. Tranquility Emperor, Immortal Emperor Tian'an, I'll be waiting for you here." Su Fong smiled domineeringly, with strong killing intent flashing in his eyes. He entered the Jinlong world. Original body. In the cultivation Taoist temple, the three blood-figure doppelgangers were immersed in the state of cultivation. When they sensed the arrival of Su Fong's original body, they opened their eyes at the same time. Next, I'll devour Tranquility Emperor's doppelganger. Let's merge into one and cultivate the netherworld blood sea together. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One doppelganger cultivated the 9 changes of 9 suns, and the other one cultivated the divine life, shortening skill, immediately turned into blood water, and merged with the doppelganger cultivating the netherworld blood sea below. Su Fong's original body also made a gesture to display the netherworld blood sea. His physical body collapsed and turned into blood water. At the moment when he merged with the 3 doppelganger, the genuine chi, cultivation, and comprehension of the doppelganger were also integrated into one. In an instant, Su Fong's overall cultivation improved rapidly. This feeling was simply indescribably wondrous and beautiful. Doppelganger of Overlord, come here. The doppelganger of Overlord, who was shackled, appeared above the netherworld blood sea. Netherworld blood sea. Su Fong, the inheritance of the netherworld devil emperor really fell into your hands. The doppelganger of Overlord was shocked. Not only the inheritance of the netherworld devil emperor, but also the so-called sealed land in the giant battle canyon. Now you're in the space magic treasure that I got in the giant battle canyon. The bodies of the immortal venerable and the demon venerable in the demon sealing tower all belong to me, including your most outstanding son, Crown Prince Ziwei. They also became the nutrients for my improvement. What? The space magic treasure. I hate it so much. If I had known this, I would have gone there myself. How could such a treasure and everything in it fall into your hands? Otherwise, how could you have the strength you have now? Instead of sighing for his son, he regretted that he didn't seize the peerless magic treasure. It could be seen that Tranquility Emperor was indifferent. You don't have to regret anything. It's you today. After some time, it will be your original body, Su Fong said in a domineering manner. Suddenly, a blood ribbon stretched out from the torrential blood water and wrapped around the doppelganger of Tranquility Emperor and dragged him into the blood water. I hate it so much. With a roar full of unwillingness and despair, the doppelganger of Overlord started to corrode layer by layer and melted into the blood water. In order to break through the bottleneck of cultivation, Tranquility Emperor had invested a lot of resources. The doppelganger of Overlord, who had cultivated for nearly 1,000,000 years, his cultivation, the essence of his body, and the strong and pure Emperor's chi were all swallowed by Su Fong. =our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1359. In the Xianao Big World. It was a territory deep in the Xianao Big World. There were many palaces with great momentum. An emperor's chi that was above the way of heaven shrouded the whole area. Boom! A huge palace was broken into pieces. The land within thousands of miles shook and the sky changed color. A figure flew out of the ruins and came to the sky. He looked at the direction of the Star Palace, and his eyes were shining with purple golden light. Tranquility Emperor, who dares to kill my Overlord doppelganger? Tranquility Emperor roared like the wrath of heaven. The supreme Tranquility Emperor, who wouldn't frown even if the sky fell and the earth cracked, was now extremely furious. He made a gesture with his hand. A Xian Guang bloomed from his palm and condensed into a shadow of primordial spirit. It was the Celestial Emperor who guarded the Star Palace. Emperor, the Celestial Emperor of the Tranquility Emperor's mansion, saluted with fear. Tranquility Emperor said with a voice full of killing intent, "The Overlord doppelganger died. Did Long Tian come to the Star Palace?" Emperor, your Overlord doppelganger really died? The Celestial Emperor of the Tranquility Emperor's mansion was shocked. Then he panicked and replied hurriedly, "It was not a mortal Emperor Tianong who came to the Star Palace. It was a strange young cultivator. I don't know why he went into the underground palace of the Star Palace after killing the Overlord doppelganger. Now he is besieged and seems to be ready to take the origin of the Star Palace. How dare you? You killed my overlord's clone, and you still dare to stay in the Star Palace. Could it be that you are waiting for me? No matter who this person is, and no matter how heaven-defying his strength is, this emperor will definitely grind his bones to dust. Tranquility Emperor said, with killing intent. Then he stretched out his hand and waved at the palace below. A man in cyan broke out of the ground and flew to Tranquility Emperor. Then he was taken into his palm. Since he dares to be so arrogant, he must have something to rely on. It might even be a trap for me. However, all the tricks are useless in front of my absolute strength. Tranquility Emperor smiled disdainfully. Then he issued a strict order to the vast territory. All the immortals above the fairy immortal realm should gather in the king's city within half a year. Those who don't follow my order will be killed. Those who are late will be killed. Sizzle. The overlord's avatar's body was extremely powerful. Even with Su Fang's Yellow Springs Blood Sea's devouring ability, it took him 10 days to corrode a layer of skin. Boom! The huge blood vortex boiled and burned with the flame of life that was more than 10 feet tall. The entire Yellow Springs Blood Sea turned into a sea of flames that burned with life. The Tranquil Emperor's tyrant true body was slightly weaker than the Great Qin Celestial Emperor, but the essence of his body, especially his monarch Qi, was not something the Great Qin Celestial Emperor could compare with. Moreover, this was a complete immortal emperor's body. What kind of transformation would it bring to Su Fang's strength? The flames of life burned, and the Yellow Springs Blood Sea expanded bit by bit, transforming bit by bit. A year passed in the blink of an eye. A small part of the flesh and blood of the Tyrant Emperor's clone of the Tranquility Emperor was devoured, and the Yellow Spring Blood Sea gradually expanded to nearly 8,000 feet. In the past, the Yellow Springs Blood Sea could be considered a river, but now the surging blood water was like a roaring ocean. The strength of his fleshly body was obviously improving, and so was the true Qi in his body. Step by step, he climbed to the peak of the realm immortal Fifth Tao realm. If one were to cultivate normally, it would take at least 100,000 years to reach the pinnacle of the world immortal realm from the Fifth Tao realm. The Netherworld Blood Sea was so extraordinary. What was more, it had swallowed the Overlord's incarnation of Tranquility Emperor. Therefore, the speed of improvement was more than 10,000 times faster than the normal cultivation. With the help of the golden core of the Tyrant Emperor's clone, I will reach the peak of the Five Dao realm. Su Fang threw the golden core into the Yin-Yang Dao wheel. The golden core shattered and was swallowed by the Yin-Yang Dao wheel. Another 3 months passed. Qi, tribulation, Qi burst out from the blood. Su Fang, who was in the middle of the Acheron Blood Sea, opened his mouth and sucked all the blood into his body. He condensed his body and flew out of the true dragon world to the underground palace in the depths of the Star Palace. Layers of tribulation Qi burst out of his body, turning into blazing tribulation fire that burned fiercely. A shockwave surged through Su Fang's body, causing Su Fang's body to tremble in extreme pain. More than 10 days later, the blazing tribulation fire was extinguished. A power of improvement swept through his body. When everything quieted down, Su Fang's Qi and Dao marks were all at the Sixth Dao realm. The Sixth Dao realm of World Immortal. With the power of the World Seed and Ethereal Enlightenment, Su Fang covered nearly 3,000 miles of the Star Palace with the power of the World Seed and Ethereal Enlightenment. He stirred up the natural aura in the void and gathered it in the depths of the underground palace. The cultivators of Tranquility Emperor's mansion, who were crazily attacking the barrier of the underground palace, felt the natural aura surging like tides. They were all shocked and showed an expression of disbelief. Could it be a supreme immortal emperor who escaped inside? He must be a mortal emperor. Otherwise, how could the incarnation of Tranquility Emperor be killed by him? How could a breakthrough cause such a great disturbance? It doesn't matter whether he is an immortal emperor or not. When Tranquility Emperor arrives in person, he will definitely die. Let's do our best. This time, Tranquility Emperor must be furious when he comes to Star Palace. Don't burn us all to ashes. At the thought of facing the anger of Tranquility Emperor, everyone was frightened. They hastened to use their magic skills or magic treasures to attack the barrier of the underground palace even more crazily. After breaking through the Sixth Dao realm, Su Fong returned to the Jinlong world and continued to devour the incarnation of the Overlord. His strength kept stepping into the Sixth Dao realm. At the same time, he created 2 Bloodman incarnations to absorb the Emperor's chi from the Overlord's real body and activated the Overlord's heaven-soaring technique to cultivate the way of the Emperor. The other one cultivated the 9 changes of 9 suns to break through the 34th Yang Meridian. In the Thunder Waterfall Abyss, Su Fong merged the Thunder Fury Flame and successfully produced the 33rd Yang Meridian. When he returned to the Xianao macro world, the Thunder Fury Flame was completely merged and a new Yang Meridian was about to be born. This time, Su Fong planned to produce the 34th Yang Meridian with the help of the Overlord's real body. In the void thousands of miles away from the Star Palace, 2 figures were hiding in the vast starry sand. They seemed to have merged with the surrounding starry sand. Even immortal emperors could hardly find them. Immortal Emperor Tianong. They were Situ Jia from the Tianming Hao Tsang sect. Immortal Emperor Tianong had long been prepared to attack the Star Palace. So when he received the news from Su Fong, he immediately set off. He came to the Star Palace very early and had been hiding here all this time. Tianong, the constellation of 9 heavens, is so close. Why did you stop? Situ Jia asked in a gloomy voice. I fought with the Tranquility Emperor several times and lost every time. Moreover, the Tranquility Emperor's mansion has a very deep foundation, and I don't know how many heaven-defying tricks it has yet to use. This time, even with the help of Lord Situ and young Master Tian, killing the Tranquility Emperor should be a sure thing. However, the heavenly law immortal world will definitely suffer a great loss. It's better to let the mysterious and incomparably powerful young Master Tian fight until both sides are injured. Then, I'll clean up the mess. Situ Jia laughed out loud. As the lord of a realm, you're indeed very scheming. Long Tianong, even I have to admire you. 3 months later, a figure broke through the air and arrived. It immediately deterred all directions and stirred up the nebula and star sand within thousands of miles around the Star Palace. The Tranquility Emperor came to the Star Palace with a towering rage. Divine light burst out from his eyes, and he swept across the constellation of 9 heavens Taoist field. Sure enough, he's still in the Star Palace, and he still has the power to control the world origin of the Star Palace. Is this person arrogant or scheming? The Tranquility Emperor's eyes were filled with doubts. Then he sneered. No matter what kind of scheme you have, I'm not afraid of you. Boom. A flow of overbearing and amazing divine power replaced the will of heavenly law and covered the entire Star Palace. In an instant, the world origin of the Star Palace and the grass and trees in the Taoist field all surrendered to the Tranquility Emperor. Whoosh! The Tranquility Emperor went straight to the underground palace in the depths of the Star Palace. The moment the Tranquility Emperor appeared, Su Fong had already sensed his arrival. The Tranquility Emperor is so fast. Su Fong was secretly surprised. Then, he raised his eyebrows and his eyes shone with a cold light. Long Tianong hasn't contacted us yet. He must be planning to sit on top of the mountain and watch the tigers fight. Humph! The master of the celestial realm is indeed cunning. He made a mudra, and Xian Guang bloomed at his palms. The primordial spirit of the immortal Emperor Tianong was condensed. Su Fong said in a cold voice, Immortal Emperor Tianong, the Tranquility Emperor has come to the Star Palace. If you don't come, don't blame me for not keeping my promise. Don't blame me for turning my back on you. The immortal Emperor Tianong said hurriedly, Don't be angry, young Master Tian. I've been delayed for some time because I was gathering my men. I'm about to arrive at the constellation of 9 heavens. Rumble. The earth and mountains shook, and the bounded domain outside the underground palace was broken by the Tranquility Emperor. Immortal Emperor Tianong, if you don't want to irritate me, You'd better hurry up, Su Fong said domineeringly. Then he put his palms together, and the primordial spirit of the immortal Emperor Tian Ong was broken. The next moment, Su Fong directly entered the Jinlong world and turned into a speck of dust, floating among the fragments of the meteor. To be on the safe side, Su Fong operated the life-shortening skill of heavenly mystery and cooperated with the power of the magic treasure in the Jinlong world to hide the Jinlong world. At this time, not to mention the Tranquility Emperor, even the venerable immortal couldn't sense the existence of Su Fong. The immortal Emperor Tianong, who was hiding in the star sand outside the Star Palace, hesitated for a while and said decisively, "Let's go to the Star Palace and meet my old enemy." Situ Jie said, "Why don't you wait for a while until the Tranquility Emperor and young Master Tian both get injured?" The immortal Emperor Tian Ong shook his head and said, "The Tranquility Emperor has gone deep into the underground palace of the Star Palace. He must have fought with the subordinates of young Master Tian. If I don't show up now, I'm afraid I'll really irritate young Master Tian. If he takes revenge later, it will be very troublesome. It's better to join hands with him and kill the Tranquility Emperor." Situ Jie said with a smile, "Maybe the Tranquility Emperor has already been killed by young Master Tian when you and I arrive. That'll be the best." The immortal Emperor Tian Ong burst into laughter. Whoosh! The immortal Emperor Tian Ong and Situ Jie broke through the void and flew away. For powerful immortal emperors like them, thousands of miles of void was just a snap of their fingers. At this time, the Tranquility Emperor had already rushed into the underground palace. His sensing power had swept through every corner of the underground palace. Gone? That man's aura disappeared in an instant. The Tranquility Emperor was shocked and surprised that he couldn't sense the existence of Su Fong. He suddenly thought of the strange thing that happened to the Overlord's avatar in the Star Palace last time. The Tranquility Emperor suddenly understood. It's that evil cultivator. He must have a peerless Taoist treasure that can hide his body. Even I can't sense his existence. Demons, I'm absolutely irreconcilable with you. The heavenly law, immortal realm, secretly colluded with the demons. This time, the Overlord's avatar was killed by Long Tianong. Long Tianong, I didn't kill you because you're from the Tianming Haotsong sect. Do you really think that I don't dare to kill you? The Tranquility Emperor's killing intent towards the demons and immortal Emperor Tianong was overwhelming when he thought of the Ziwei Crown Prince. Long Tianong, you really came. When the Tranquility Emperor was about to search for the whereabouts of Su Fong, he suddenly raised his eyebrows and released a strong killing intent. =_our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1360. Tianong Immortal Emperor rushed to the sky above the constellation of 9 heavens, but he didn't see the earth-shattering battle that he had expected. Tablet ebook, how could this be? Tianong Immortal Emperor and Situ Jie were both stunned. Could it be that young Master Tian had defeated Tranquility Emperor in such a short time? Whoosh! A stream of heaven-shaking aggressiveness exploded from the Star Palace, and then a figure rushed up to the sky. Tranquility Emperor. Tianong Immortal Emperor was shocked. Tranquility Emperor didn't look like he had just experienced a fierce battle. Long Tianong. A furious roar reverberated in all directions, stirring up the starry sand and starry fog as if a storm had erupted. Tranquility Emperor's eyes emitted purple-golden light, and he looked at Tianong Immortal Emperor like a sharp sword. Your doppelganger killed my son Ziwei, and this time you kill my doppelganger. I'll kill you. Tianong Immortal Emperor said coldly, no one can prove whether Prince Ziwei was killed by my doppelganger, and it was someone else who killed your doppelganger. If you want to fight, let's fight. Why do you have to find such a groundless reason? Tranquility Emperor was furious. Everyone in the immortal area knows that you colluded with the Devil Tribe. The one who killed my doppelganger was the Devil Cultivator who snuck into the Star Palace and hurt my doppelganger's arm. Now you're in the Star Palace. How dare you say that you have nothing to do with it? Humph! Tianong Immortal Emperor was angry and wronged, but he couldn't explain anything to his old enemy, Tranquility Emperor. Tranquility Emperor glanced at Situ Jia and said coldly, "Are you Lord Situ from the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect? Long Tianong and I can't live under the same sky. I advise you not to interfere." Situ Jia said gloomily, "Long Tianong is from the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect. Why can't I interfere?" Tranquility Emperor, I advise you not to offend the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect. Otherwise, Tranquility Emperor said aggressively. Otherwise what? The Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect is the most powerful force in the immortal area. Although I'm famous in the immortal area, I'm like an ant in front of the Mandate Haotsong sect. However, the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect wants my head. Am I supposed to stretch out my neck and wait for you to take it? Situ Jia, if you dare to stop me from killing Long Tianong, don't blame me for being impolite. You're welcome? Do I need to be courteous to you? Situ Jia came from the Tianming Haotsong sect, so he was very arrogant. Hearing Ning Emperor's words, he was enraged. He immediately used his magic skills, and a stream of divine might of heaven rushed towards Ning Emperor. Boom! Boom! Tranquility Emperor also operated the tyrannical emperor's heaven-soaring technique and started a shocking fight with Situ Jia. It seems that I failed to trick young Master Tian this time. Instead, I was set up by him. Damn it! Even if I don't use young Master Tian's strength, I can still kill Tranquility Emperor. Immortal Emperor Tianong was very angry. He released his momentum and joined hands with Situ Jia to attack Tranquility Emperor fiercely. All of a sudden, there was an unprecedented battle happening above the Star Palace, which was rarely seen in the immortal realm for millions of years. The rumbling sound shook the sky and the void was shaking. Tranquility Emperor was indeed a peerless immortal emperor who had reached the immortal emperor realm millions of years ago. With the help of the world force of the Star Palace, he was able to suppress immortal Emperor Tianong and Situ Jia. In the Taoist field of the Star Palace, the cultivators of the Tranquility Emperor's mansion were shocked. However, they couldn't do anything about it. All they could do was to cheer for Tranquility Emperor. The famous Tranquility Emperor is really powerful. He's much more powerful than his tyrannical emperor's doppelganger. Is this the real strength of a peerless immortal emperor? Su Fong activated his full circle ability and saw the battle above the Star Palace clearly through the divine might of the Jinlong world. He couldn't help but feel shocked. Luo said from the blood jade in his body, Tranquility Emperor is really powerful. However, he has just reached the 7 Dao Saint Immortal Realm. He's not a real, peerless expert. Saint Immortal Realm? I didn't tell you about the realm of Immortal Emperor because I was afraid that you would be afraid of the path of cultivation and that would affect your Dao heart. Now that you're as powerful as an Immortal Emperor, I can tell you about it. The Saint Immortal Realm is above the world Immortal Realm, which is the so-called Immortal Emperor. Immortals in this realm can build their own space in the void, control this space, and create the Dharma. It was the first time for Su Fong to hear about the realm of Immortal Emperor. He immediately pricked up his ears. Most of the Immortal Emperors you've seen are below the 3 Dao Saint Immortal Realm. Tranquility Emperor's doppelganger of the tyrannical emperor is at the 2 Dao Saint Immortal Realm. Immortal Emperor Qin, Immortal Tianong, Old Weirdo Zhu Tian, and Immortal Panhua are at the 3 Dao Saint Immortal Realm. With your current strength, even if you can't defeat them, you can at least protect yourself. Su Fong asked curiously, which Dao Saint Immortal Realm are Immortal Emperor Tianong and Tranquility Emperor at? Immortal Emperor Tianong and Dugamujian are at the 6 Dao Saint Immortal Realm. Your immortal demon monster is also at the same level. Tranquility Emperor just reached the 7 Dao Saint Realm. But Immortal Emperor Tianong has the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect as his backer. Tranquility Emperor has been an immortal emperor for millions of years. Both of them are not ordinary immortal emperors, but they're not as strong as Dugamujian and his immortal demon monster. Dugamujian is a sword cultivator who has fused with the dual swords of destruction, one of the 10 great Taoist weapons. Even Tranquility Emperor is no match for him. Your immortal demon monster has a strong body and a special power that combines the power of a mortal and demon. With the help of the second primordial spirit, it's on par with Dugamujian. What's more, it has a lot of room for growth. It's beyond imagination. So powerful. Su Fong was very happy to hear that Dugamujian and his immortal demon monster were so powerful. But in the whole immortal realm, Tranquility Emperor and Dugamujian are not the real, peerless experts. Experts of the Nine Dao Sane Immortal Realm can use their supreme skills to create a cave mansion or a world in this space. Only then can they be regarded as the peerless experts in this immortal realm. At least in this immortal realm, Tranquility Emperor is already a peak expert. This time, it won't be easy for Long Tianong to kill him. But it's better this way. It's better if both of them are injured and I can take advantage of the situation. Su Fong smiled. You're so insidious. But fortunately, you didn't attack directly. Whether it's Immortal Emperor Tianong or Tranquility Emperor, they have some forbidden skills or peerless skills that you can't imagine. Even if you kill them, you'll lose a few teeth. Let them fight to the death. I'll take control of the Star Palace first. Su Fong flew out of the Jinlong world. While paying attention to the shocking battle outside the Star Palace, he started to integrate the world origin of the Star Palace. He activated the power of the World Seed and used the ethereal innate runes of 10,000 arts to slowly sense and communicate with the world origin of the constellation of Nine Heavens. Rumble. The world origin of the constellation of Nine Heavens was awakened from its static state by Su Fong, causing the earth to shake. Someone is absorbing the world origin of the Star Palace. Many cultivators in the Tranquility Emperor's mansion, as well as Tranquility Emperor, Immortal Emperor Tianong, and Situ Jia in the sky, felt the change of the world origin of the Star Palace and were all shocked. Tranquility Emperor sneered disdainfully. My real body of the Overlord has performed the supreme divine skill of the Overlord soaring the sky technique and swallowed the star genuine chi of countless practitioners of the Star Palace. Then, I comprehended part of the divine skill of the ethereal truth. It took me nearly 200 years to integrate a small part of the world origin of the Star Palace. It's impossible for you to integrate it in 1,000,000 years. I only need a few days to kill Long Tianong, and then I'll come back to crush you into ashes. Young Master Tian, what do you mean? Immortal Emperor Tianong sensed the aura of Su Fong in the depth of the Star Palace and immediately asked with his primordial spirit. Su Fong replied, Tranquility Emperor is extremely powerful. His overlord doppelganger once integrated with the world origin of the Star Palace. Therefore, his real body can drive the world origin. After I control the world origin of the Star Palace with my supreme magic skills, I'll help you kill Tranquility Emperor with the help of the world origin. Integrate with the world origin of the Star Palace? Immortal Emperor Tianong was stunned and then secretly complained. Without hundreds of thousands of years, how could it be so easy to integrate the world origin of an immortal land? Although the Star Palace was not as good as those macro worlds, it was still a relic. How could the world origin be integrated so easily? Clearly, young Master Tian was taking revenge because he was angry at him for playing tricks in front of him. Immortal Emperor Tianong said earnestly with his primordial spirit, I shouldn't have played tricks in front of young Master Tian. I'll apologize to you later. At this critical moment, please don't hold grudges and help me kill Tranquility Emperor. Humph. Su Fong let out a humph laugh. He was not arrogant at all. Then he said coldly, Immortal Emperor Tianong, you still have so much strength. How long do you plan to hide it? You have to hold on for 3 days. It's a small punishment for you. As long as you can hold on for 3 days, I promise to help you. Then, I'll trust you this time. Immortal Emperor Tianong had no choice but to release experts from the Taoist instrument world. Swish, swish. The hidden strength of the heavenly Tao immortal world was really powerful. Long Tianong, are you going to risk your life to fight with me? You have experts in the heavenly Tao immortal world, but I don't have any in the Tranquility Emperor's mansion." Tranquility Emperor laughed disdainfully. Whoosh! 3 immortal emperors were released by Tranquility Emperor. Although the number was not as many as that of the heavenly Tao immortal world, there was one immortal emperor in the 5 Tao Saint realm who had the origin of Tranquility Emperor's mansion. Obviously, he came from the mansion of Tranquility Emperor. The foundation of Emperor Ning's mansion was so profound that it was beyond imagination. It was even more profound than the heavenly Tao immortal world. For my son, Ziwei, and for my overlord doppelganger, I'll flatten the heavenly Tao immortal world. Kill. Emperor Ning was full of murderous intent. He gave orders to his subordinates that were full of killing intent. The battle suddenly escalated. I'm the overlord doppelganger. I want Long Tianong to die. I want him to die in the name of the supreme divine dragon. With the will of the divine dragon, I, Long Tianong, will deprive Emperor Ning of all his super skills. Immortal Emperor Tianong and Emperor Ning performed their unique super skills and started a shocking collision. The immortal emperors of the heavenly Tao immortal world and Emperor Ning's mansion also used their strongest super skills and activated their Taoist instruments to fight and kill. At this point, it was a real fight to the death. There was no need for them to restrain themselves. They used all their strength and started a life-and-death battle. The void was broken. The sky was shaking. If the Taoist field of the Star Palace was not protected by a strong, bounded domain, it would have been razed to the ground in an instant. In the deep underground palace of the Star Palace, Su Fong was calmly integrating the world origin of the Star Palace. The cultivators of Emperor Ning's mansion rushed to the underground palace again. However, Su Fong released old monster Zhu Tian to guard the entrance of the underground palace. The cultivators of Emperor Ning's mansion had to give up the idea. Su Fong activated the power of the world seed. With the help of the ethereal myriad arts Tao, he awakened the world origin of the Star Palace. Streaks of starlight came out from the underground palace. The starlight, which was the essence of the world force, condensed into a deep and magnificent Milky Way. The world seed started to absorb the world origin of the Star Palace. It spun faster. The lotus pod containing the seed became more real. The world seed in the lotus pod became fuller. =_ our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review. Chapter 1361. Around the world seed, there was a mysterious circle of light. There were a total of 7 light circles like 7 galaxies. The entire heaven and earth Tao Palace became vast and deep, filled with the divine might of the world. After devouring a part of the world origin of the Star Palace, Su Fong merged it with his own world energy and then sealed the world origin under the Earth Palace. The whole process only took Su Fong 2 days. Compared to merging the world origin of the Great Qin celestial world, it was much faster and easier. After releasing the divine might of the world, he felt that he could easily control the Star Palace. The world energy of the Star Palace, as well as all the forces of nature, had a subtle affinity with Su Fong. He could use the essence of heaven and earth and the power of the stars with ease and control. From now on, the Star Palace is under the control of Su Fong. Su Fong's eyes flashed with excitement. When he first entered the constellation of 9 heavens, his status was low and he was always in fear. He was bullied and even his life was in danger. In less than 1,000 years, he had become the absolute master of the Star Palace. How could Su Fong not be excited by such an achievement? It's really lively outside. Using the power of the complete realm, Su Fong could see the scene outside the constellation of 9 heavens clearly. He could not help but smile coldly. You haven't suffered any serious injuries yet. Let me add fuel to the fire. When one's cultivation had reached the holy celestial realm, it was easy to be defeated. However, it was very difficult to be killed. Although the great battle in the void outside the Star Palace lasted for 2 days, there were no celestial emperor experts who died. Su Fong had finally ignited the flames of war. How could he let the 2 sides fight so calmly? He activated the divine might of the world and formed a shackle force, which suddenly fell on a celestial emperor from the Yuan fortune world. The Yuan fortune world was now under the control of Tranquility Emperor. This celestial emperor was the realm lord of the Yuan fortune world, a peerless expert of the three paths of Saint Celestial Realm. He had become Tranquility Emperor's subordinate and was fighting fiercely with the sect master of the White Sun sect. He used to be the lord of a celestial realm, after all, and his aura had suppressed the sect master of the White Sun sect to the point that he was forced to retreat. Just as this person was feeling smug and arrogant, an invisible world's divine might suddenly envelop his body, forming a shackle. What was even more shocking was that it was as if the heavens and earth were naturally rejecting him. Borrowing power from the stars, extracting essence from the heavens and earth, activating the divine ability of the heavens and earth, its power was instantly weakened by as much as 30 to 40%. What's going on? Why am I being rejected and shackled by the power of the world? The immortal emperor of the Yuan fortune world's expression changed drastically. As for the sect master of the heavenly White Sun sect, after his initial shock, he was overjoyed. Naturally, he would not miss such a heaven-sent opportunity. His aura exploded as he launched a fierce counterattack. The situation was instantly reversed. Half an hour later, the former master of the Yuanlu Great World was inexplicably shackled and suppressed, causing his strength to drop drastically. He was crushed by the heavenly Tao White Sun sect's sect master, who seemed to have the help of a god. The fall of the first immortal emperor had shocked everyone. The morale of the heavenly Tao immortal realm was greatly boosted. Even immortal Emperor Tianong was ecstatic and his aura surged. Long Tianong, you killed the experts of the Emperor Ning's mansion. I will not rest until you are dead. Emperor Ning roared angrily. This time, he was really angry. Seeing the bloody battlefield, the situation immediately became tragic. Su Fong secretly activated the power of the world of the Star Palace and targeted immortal Emperor He from the Long family of the heavenly Tao immortal realm. In a battle between experts, a slight mistake would determine the outcome of the battle, even life and death. Moreover, Su Fong suddenly made such a move at the critical moment, which caught everyone off guard. Immortal Emperor He's body was shattered by the Taoist instrument of the Emperor Ning's mansion, and he died on the spot. Now, it was immortal Emperor Tianang's turn to feel heartache, and he roared angrily. In this way, Su Fong killed a total of 4 immortal emperors from both sides without leaving a trace. Situ Jie took the opportunity to seriously injure the immortal emperor of the Emperor Ning's mansion, who was at the 5 Dao Holy Realm and almost died. Long Tianong, now that things have come to this point, you and I don't need to hide our strength anymore. Let's have a life and death battle now. Emperor Ning's mansion suffered a great loss this time, so he did not hold back anymore. Immediately, he released many cultivators from the Taoist instrument world in his body. In a flash, they filled the void within 100 miles. There were more than 200,000 of them, and all of them were at the Xian immortal realm. Now, Emperor Ning actually took out all the elites of the Emperor Ning's mansion for the last battle. Among them, 5,000 cultivators were at the immortal realm in the mortal realm. They were wearing black immortal armor, and their aura was extremely domineering and murderous. They formed a formation, and their aura was as strong as one person. Their domineering aura shook the sky. They were the elite troops of the Emperor Ning's mansion, the heaven-fighting army of the Overlord. There was also an army. Their numbers weren't large either, only a little over 10,000. There were both human cultivators and great demons. All of them were covered in a monstrous aura of death and evil, as well as an aura from ancient times. They were all resurrected immortals, and each of them was no weaker than the young elder. They did not expect that Emperor Ning had hidden such a horrible army of resurrected cultivators. Immortal Emperor Tianong hurriedly sent a voice of original spirit to Su Fong. Young Master Tian, Emperor Ning has prepared for the final battle. If you don't help him now, the heavenly law immortal realm will definitely be defeated. Su Fong replied coldly. I will help him one day later. If he can't even survive one day, what right does the heavenly law immortal realm have to ask me to help him? The life and death of the heavenly law immortal realm all depends on you, young Master Tian. Please don't let me down. Immortal Emperor Tian Ong gritted his teeth. He waved his hand, and a disc-shaped Taoist instrument appeared in his palm. The disc-shaped Xian Guang bloomed, and millions of figures came out from it. Immortal Emperor Tian Ong also brought the elites of the heavenly law immortal realm with him. Among them, there was a group of 500 cultivators. However, all of them were covered in golden scales that resembled dragon scales. They exuded a terrifying draconic chi, and when the 500 of them stood together, they formed the illusory image of a 20,000 feet long golden dragon. The terrifying aura they exuded caused the immortal emperors to feel their hearts trembling. They were the personal guards of immortal Emperor Tianong, the Dragon Blood Warriors. There was also an army of 100,000 cultivators. They were full of strong devil chi. They did not look like human beings, but the real devil clan from the devil realm. Seeing this, Su Fong was shocked and surprised. Then he sneered, Emperor Ning's mansion and the heavenly law immortal realm. One side colludes with the resurrected cultivators, and the other side colludes with the devil realm. Is this the so-called righteousness? Luo Ye's cold voice came from the blood jade in his body. It seems that this immortal realm has been infiltrated by the devil realm for a long time. Even the resurrected cultivators from ancient times have come to this immortal realm and seem to have consciousness. It's ridiculous that the Emperor Ning's mansion and the heavenly law immortal realm think that they can use the devil realm and the resurrected cultivators. But they don't know that it's tantamount to raising a tiger and inviting calamity. Sooner or later, they will be swallowed up, and all the human cultivators in the immortal realm will be affected. They really deserve to die. Emperor Ning, the 100,000 years of resentment between you and me will be completely solved in this battle. Immortal Emperor Tian Ong raised his arm and shouted, Kill! The army of 1 million cultivators roared in unison. The killing intent made the sky change color. Then they rushed to the Emperor Ning's mansion like a tide. Swish! Innumerable arrows converged into a black cloud. The ear-piercing sound of breaking through the air was heard, but the eardrums were shattered, and even the primordial spirit was on the verge of collapse. Then came the attack of flying swords and Taoist instruments, which formed a stormy wave that drowned and swallowed everything in front of them. The 500 Dragon Blood Warriors were even more amazing. They drove the huge shadow of the golden dragon and rushed out like a monster that could swallow the sky and even the immortal emperors. No matter how many people you have, you are just a group of ants. How can you fight against the towering tree of my Emperor Ning's mansion? Kill! Emperor Ning said in a domineering manner. Although the army of Emperor Ning's mansion was smaller in number, they were obviously more well-trained. They quickly formed a formation to defend against the fierce attack of the Heaven Law Immortal Realm. Then they formed a formation again and stabbed into the army of the Heaven Law Immortal Realm like sharp swords. More than 100,000 cultivators of Emperor Ning's mansion who were guarding the Star Palace also rushed out of the Taoist field. However, their fighting capacity was obviously much weaker. The battle started above the Star Palace. Although it was not as fierce as the fight between the immortal emperors, it was more than 100 times more bloody and tragic. The blood of the dead cultivators dyed the surrounding void red. Corpses piled up outside the boundary of the Star Palace. When an emperor was angry, blood would stain 1,000 miles. Countless people died in the battle between immortal Emperor Tian Ong and Emperor Ning. The peerless experts who were usually superior were as worthless as ants and weeds in such a horrible battlefield. One day passed in the blink of an eye. Both the Emperor Ning's mansion and the Heaven Law Immortal Realm lost more than half of their forces. Although the immortal emperors did not die, they were all injured. Even immortal Emperor Tianong, Situ Jie, and Emperor Ning were seriously injured. Immortal Emperor Tianong had turned into a dragon man. Countless dragon scales fell off. A bowl-sized hole was corroded in his chest by Emperor Ning's mantra of the tyrant. Although immortal Emperor Tian Ang's Dragon Man body had amazing recovery ability, he could not recover in a short time. Although it was not a fatal injury, it was still serious. Although Emperor Ning was not injured, his face was pale and his breath of life was weak. He was also seriously injured by immortal Emperor Tian Ang's unique curse of the Divine Dragon. On the contrary, Situ Jie would definitely not die for immortal Emperor Tian Ang. Because Emperor Ning was afraid of his identity, he did not kill him. Therefore, Situ Jie was the most relaxed one on the battlefield. As for the two armies, they suffered more losses. The Heaven Law Immortal Realm and Emperor Ning's mansion suffered great losses in this battle. Such a situation naturally couldn't be attributed to Su Fong adding fuel to the fire. Young Master Tian, the time is up. Why don't you take action? Immortal Emperor Tian Ang, who was exhausted, roared angrily. My words are as white as soap. Since I promised Immortal Emperor to take action, I won't stand by and do nothing. A majestic voice sounded from the depth of the Star Palace. Just then, Su Fong, wearing a golden mask, walked through the formation unhurriedly and came to the sky above the Star Palace. Standing with his hands clasped behind his back, he glanced over the battlefield indifferently. The supreme, domineering aura of looking down on everything spontaneously arose. Finally, golden-faced young master is going to take action. People of the Heaven Law Immortal Realm burst into cheers. Immortal Emperor Tian Ang breathed a long sigh of relief. He waved his arm and summoned all the cultivators of the Heaven Law Immortal Realm to his side. Su Fong's eyes shone with divine light. He glanced at the cultivators of the Heaven Law Immortal Realm and sighed. Immortal Emperor, the Heaven Law Immortal Realm has suffered great losses. Thank you for your concern. Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's face twitched. He gritted his teeth and a strong hatred surged from his heart. However, he had to be polite on the surface. After a day of fierce fighting, there were only 400,000 cultivators left. Even more than half of the Dragonblood warriors were killed. Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's heart was bleeding. Even if Emperor Ning was successfully killed this time, the Heaven Law Immortal Realm would suffer great losses. Damn you, young Master Tian. When I clean up Emperor Ning's mansion and the peerless powerhouses of Tianming Haotsong sect come, the first person I'll kill will be you. Immortal Emperor Tian Ang's heart was full of killing intent. == our download address. Mobile reading, bibliographic review.